Hello and welcome to the Stargame Conspiracy. My name is Jamie Hanshaw. I am your host, and we have our one and only contestant for the evening. Baselit Analyzer, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, it's good to be back here. We were just together a couple months ago. We've done a couple streams together now, and I'm looking forward to this one because you're the expert. You're the expert on this, and there's so much information in this book and with this topic, and I'm looking forward to sort of deciphering with you. So this will be a good one. I'm nervous about the quiz.
Well, it's more than a quiz, it's a full-on game.
Yeah.
It is based on the old press your luck. Remember, big bucks, no whammies. And you have a chance to win 5 spins in every round by answering the questions correctly. Would you like to know what you'll be playing for?
Yeah. Hopefully, I win a trip to Nibiru. I've been really looking forward to
Oh,
that.
well,
So
almost.
okay.
Zero. So, first prize is the exact replica of the Ark of the Covenant.
Nice.
Would you like to
Nice.
own that? The
Yes.
hardware
Yes.
does not come included with it, but this isn't just any replica. This is the um, replica that the president put on display at Mar-a-Lago for 8 months in 2024 before being brought to Israel. So,
Nice. Yeah, very good. Yeah, can I wear like anything metal around it or will
no, it's an ultimate
Okay.
weapon. So, you
Okay.
can keep it in like a lead-lined,
Okay.
room and put a rope around your waist if you want to go in there and mess with it so they can pull you out in case you die.
Well, I've got my OTO regalia and my Noral Queet medallion ready for this. So
Oh,
I'll be
very good. So, second thing on our showcase showdown here, we've got prize number 2, a one-way ticket to Mars.
nice.
TM.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
So, say goodbye to your loved ones because they'll never hear from you again. Once you
hmm
blast off to the brand new colony on Mars, which is totally real and feasible,
hmm
right?
Yeah, Aeon of Horus.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've been reading up on my Al Crowley and I'm waiting for Buzz Aldrin to try and punch me. I'm gonna hit that old bastard. All right.
You You will enjoy sitting back and relaxing in this barren landscape while eating and drinking your own recycled bodily excretion. Does
Mm.
that sound fun?
Yeah, it sounds
So
fun.
fun.
Oh, this is like so I'm Dad Damon
Yes.
on the okay.
Next up, we have the entire catalog of Broyhill furniture, mid-century modern furniture.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
it's the only
Okay.
valuable thing on there. Actually, I really would love to have that. But yes, Broyhill furniture, the entire collection. Prize number 4, Egyptian spa package.
Okay.
This is the King's Chamber spa package where you will relax and unwind in your own private sarcophagus for 3 days and nights without food or water inside the King's Chamber in the Great
Mm.
Pyramid of Khufu in Giza.
Okay, nice.
How does that
Nice.
sound? Good?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. I mean, I was in the Nefertiti pod one time, but
Oh, okay.
okay.
Well, we guarantee you'll return enlightened.
Okay.
Prize number 5, $1 million in Daddy coin.
Is
And
it okay? Is it dollars or doll hairs? Okay.
it's $1 million in Daddy coin. Andrew Tate's cryptocurrency, except you are not allowed to convert it. You just have to watch it die a slow death to zero from crypto.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. What
Is
else?
wait, hold on. Is he like I can't really see the picture right there. Is that him or is he like oh I thought he was like Shal Halub or whatever. He kind of looks like the Emperor Worm right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the final prize where we are. Oh, yes. A Tesla Roadster, brand new
Mm.
car, but not just any car. It's the very first 2010 Tesla Roadster that was launched into space as part
Right.
of a Falcon Heavy test flight by Elon Musk instead of giving it to a partner as promised.
Mm.
The Roadster became an official satellite of the sun with a mannequin in a spacesuit named Starman. in the driver's seat. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully you will be walking away with all 6 of these wonderful prizes. And as usual, if you land on a whammy, everything is lost. So
Yeah.
in order to earn your spins, you will have to correctly answer 5 questions in each round.
If I get the whammy, like, do I get face melted like in Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yes. Yes. Are you ready to
All
play?
right, cool. Yeah, I'm ready to play.
Okay. The first round quiz questions where you can earn spins.
Oh gosh.
And
Okay.
it's all based on what we are covering tonight.
Yeah.
The Stargate Conspiracy by Lynn Picknett and Clive Prince.
All right.
All right. Are you
Okay,
ready
let's
to
give it a
play?
yeah. I'm ready to go.
What is the name of the Egyptian city of the sun god Atum Ra?
Dude, oh my gosh. You saw um Heliopolis?
Yes,
Oh, nice.
yes,
Nice.
you
I got it, y'all.
win. Got it.
Sick. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Nice.
Okay. Number 2. Who wrote the 1995 book Fingerprints of the Gods?
Uh is it the same dude who wrote the Chariot of the Gods?
Prince
what's
Vehicles of Gods.
what's that dude's name? He's that Austrian fella. Damn, what's his name? He's the Austrian fella. I didn't. They claimed that I attempted to answer all the questions, but I clearly put the question mark in every question. It was just questioning. I don't remember the dude's name. What's his name?
Graham Hancock.
Oh, okay, not that dude. Okay.
All right.
All
Third
right.
question, 3 of 5 for the first round for all of
All
these
right.
great prizes. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
How long is the precession of the equinoxes?
I don't know. 322 days.
26,000 years.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, I tanked that one. All right.
Okay. You have 2 more chances to win a spin.
Okay.
Who are the amphibious gods who taught the Dogon tribe about the Sirius star system and who they believed were behind the development of the human civilization?
Hold on. Let me think. The amphibious gods. Uh, not the Nephilim. It's the
So close.
it's the Anunnaki.
No,
No, who is it?
the Nomo.
Okay. Oh my god.
Well, you've got 1 spin in this round.
There's too many names.
I know.
There are too many names in this book.
Okay, last question.
All right.
How many stars do the Dogon claim are in the Sirius system?
Dude, I don't know how many.
3. Sirius A, B, and C, the star of women. Okay, okay, not bad.
Okay.
You got a spin. So you ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. And if you get a whammy, you lose.
Okay.
So we are gonna, the green one, I guess, identifies the where it's pointing to. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Go for it. Spin it.
Ooh, big bucks, no whammy. Big bucks, no whammy.
Please be a question about the draconians.
Oh,
Okay.
it's like kind of pointing to a whammy. So
Oh no. Okay, it's a whammy bar. Hold on. Wait.
okay, round
hold on.
1.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
right.
you walk away from round 1 with nothing, but
Okay.
there are 6 more rounds to play and a whole book to discuss. So we are going to be getting into this crazy Stargate conspiracy brought to you by the same people who brought Da Vinci Code, not Da Vinci Code, Zion Revelation, and the Templar Revelation, which all digested and pooped out. That's how you get the Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, this is an interesting book. I mean, there's so much in this book. In one paragraph there is so much, because it not only talks about, you know, Stranger Things, Stargate
Hmm.
and Gateway process. It goes into Templars, Draconians, um, First Earth Battalion, um, uh, you know, the in what Aeneid, the nine principles, the
Hmm.
human potential foundation. I mean, no, it's a crazy book. So
It's
yeah,
so
let's get
much.
into it.
So what they are positing, and I guess
Hmm.
I'll give it away, the Stargate conspiracy is that there is a underground lore being created that says that the ETs created the human race and they seeded
Hmm.
the planet and they are on their way back to interject before we all kill ourselves, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they get to their thesis on page 305 of the book.
Oh,
What
right.
we call
Yes.
the Stargate conspiracy is the fostering of the belief that extraterrestrial gods created the human race and presided over its civilization.
Mhm.
Okay, so is this panspermia?
Yes, and what they're
Mm-hmm.
going for is to argue that Christianity is essentially an offshoot of the Osiris, Isis, Horus
Uh-huh.
myths, and our culture they're trying to explain is actually Egypto-Christian. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of zeitgeist stuff in here. They're talking about, obviously, they did some books on the Templars, so there's Templar stuff in here.
Yeah.
Uh, there's pyramid texts, Hermetic writings, and they talk about the New Egypt writers, Wallace Budge, and their controversial ideas about a long dead civilization from Mars. Now, we're going to be hearing a lot about Mars in the coming years because that is the target for the technocrats,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right. Yeah, they mentioned how, I mean, Crowley is peppered throughout this thing, and so when they get to how they make an interesting point towards the end of the book, especially when they start talking about the eon of, of Horus, which we've
Hmm.
heard about a million times, but that the the Aeon of Horus is the as the star child, right? Is it's interesting because Crowley's whole one of his whole points was that he would usher in this era of Crowleyanity,
Hmm.
and I remember in the '90s I thought that was ridiculous. I thought that was ridiculous. He's you see the guy on Sergeant Pepper, and I knew him through music and all this stuff. And then in the 2000s, watching documentaries and reading books and stuff about him. And then as we've gone fully into the 21st century, it's like it it actually he had a point in how influential he was with all of these creeps and people. That if the age of Horus as the moon child, star child era is related to a child, then it's both a time of like boomer Woodstock innocence, but also volatile, like a child can be, unpredictable,
Hmm.
and especially in the last 5 years, like we've really seen this stuff kind of ramp up. And I think didn't they associate Mars with Horus? I mean, I know Saturn is one of the big, Saturn is set, but yeah, it's just very interesting.
So the prologue actually goes into the nine gods of Egypt, and we talk about the number nine because it's very important to occultists of the left-hand path,
Hmm.
and of Satanists because it's a very selfish number in the way that it divides always back into itself. And also the nine Egyptian gods, which are known as the Ennead. So they are the nine and one, they call them. Um, they think that they used to live at Heliopolis, but they were withdrew to another dimension when they were conquered by Christianity. So they are going off of the pyramid text here, and which are the hieroglyphic inscriptions found on the inside walls of seven pyramids. And one of the central stories of this is the story of Osiris, and that's where we get so many of the architecture of Washington, D.C. Obviously, that is Osiris X, is a symbol
Mm-hmm.
of Osiris in the
Mm.
mystery schools. So if you put your both hands like this, right, that's Osiris.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I don't know if jumping up and down trying to make your body look like an X is part of that. Uh, but it's interesting.
Yeah, X always no X never ever marks the spot. He says in Indiana
Oh,
Jones,
right.
right? I
That,
think
yeah,
of the
that's Indiana Jones.
I think of that picture of Crowley has those poses. One is as the magician tarot, and then the other is where he's in his full regalia,
Uh-huh.
in the pose. So yeah.
So yeah, this features the story of Osiris is sent to heaven where he is transformed into a star, and there's more Crowleyanity right there. Every man and woman is a star if you
Hmm.
are on this path of Osiris, right?
Yeah.
And then he is reincarnated as his own successor in the form of Horus. So they are giving us an overview here of, the Egyptian creation myths and reincarnation and the Big Bang, actually. Did you read that part?
Yeah, I got that part. And what I thought was wild is that a little while ago, I forget what I was covering on my channel, but during the day, like I went on MSN News for the first time in like years. I just because it's on the computer, so I accidentally clicked the button for the news to, the little tab to pull up, and I was amazed at how much of it. I mean, it's almost satirical. How much of it is star related. All of it is stars and space travel,
Mhm.
and it's a lot of it's clickbait. It's about like you'll never believe what we found in the wreckage on Mars. It's an extraterrestrial object, and then you click on the thing, and then it talks about, well, it's extraterrestrial because it came from Earth, right? So it's on Mars, so it's from so I tricked you. Um, but one of the things I read recently was, no, I was covering Interstellar.
Uh-huh.
Remember in Interstellar, they've got to go and find the wormhole, like which is off of Jupiter.
Yeah.
Um, and so there was a story about that they found what looks to be an anomaly in space, like a worm. This could possibly be a wormhole. And now everything you see, because of all the UAP stuff that's coming. Have you been watching any of the hearings?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they actually said in that the aliens live in the ocean.
Yeah.
So that ties in with what we're talking about the aquatic beings
Mhm.
that influenced the Dogon tribe, and Dagon is in the Bible, and Ovanes. Um, so yeah,
Is
Levi-
Dagon is Dagon in Revelation? In Dagon mentioned in Revelation?
I'm not sure. I
I
think
think because it talks
Leviathan.
about because it talks about some of the beasts of the abyss, and
Yeah,
it would make sense if it's abyssal that it would be
right.
oceanic, and then that's sort of what the movie The Abyss
Hmm.
had in it was the water spirits.
So to the Egyptians, the god Atum,
Hmm.
uh, he well, they say that he actually created the world by how do you even say this on YouTube?
Uh
Tapping the world into existence.
huh.
And uh this is where they get the idea of the Big Bang. So Atum's climax was the panspermia that seeded the entire universe. And they actually think of him as a androgynous god because his phallus represents the male principle and his hand was the female principle.
Okay.
Not all you nub lovers are gonna love this because the sacred hill of Atum is the nub and the pyramid and all of that.
So he this gooner yub nubbed the world into existence, right, with his
Yeah.
gicky gackers. Okay.
He got his Nickelodeon slime all over, and that's
Okay.
how we came to be.
Yes.
Makes sense. So they're literally describing, a Big Bang, and they use the word singularity
Hmm.
also, which is interesting because this is something that we are supposed to be coming back into being in this singularity, right?
Right. Yeah. It says on page 8. This is also why Horus, obviously, everything's sort of obvious in the book. This is why Horus, as the Lord of this world, is also associated with and sometimes personified as the sun. The daily birth of the sun is a microcosm, as the original creative explosion that gave birth to the universe. And it's also associated with the Atum and that is in so much of the pyramid text. Um, Already, there's so much thrown into the book. What's crazy about this is that for me, a lot of this is like reading a foreign language. I think once you're once you're fully introduced to these kinds of things over years, you still feel like you're reading hieroglyphics when you read about this stuff because there's so much sort of foreign terminology thrown into it with so much lore. This is like what Wikipedia is made of,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Clicking on one thing and then go and it's also funny how the book continuously talks about their websites and you can visit the websites and they give them in the book like before they list out WW, throughout the book and go to this. They say go to this website, and it's clearly written before the this took on what Wikipedia is. Um, it's just funny how it's kind of come to be. Yeah, on page 10, I wrote down panspermia.
Mm-hmm.
It looks increasingly as if life originated in deep space and was then seeded onto planets, probably by comets, that even in its most primitive form is probably found everywhere throughout the universe. As Lou Alamandala says, I begin to really believe that life is a cosmic imperative. Oh, thanks, Lou.
You would know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting that Egypt is a type of civilization against Christ.
Mm,
Historically, you've got Babylon, you've got Egypt, you've got Rome. So these are examples of a civilization that is antichrist, right?
mm-hmm,
So just it's very fitting that all of the new 20th century Satanists are going to be hearkening back to Egyptian magic to counter Christianity, right?
mm,
And they're calling this an assault on the collective free will of the West. So the authors of this book are not really in favor of the findings.
mm-hmm,
Well, because they figured out that it's all tied into mind control, military technology, weapons, population control, like all of the things that we already talk about,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, I did one of when the book for me started to get interesting was and the book really does get way more interesting in the last like probably in the last quarter of the book. It really sort of starts to tie together. You have to make your way through a lot of this.
Hmm.
Like if you're out there and you just picked up the book, you really have to make your way through a lot of stuff before you start to tie things together, and to get into the contemporary era. But one of the things I liked was that at one point, um, one of the authors says that the common conception of, for example, the pyramids and the belt of Orion, is that the pyramids are lined up with the belt of Orion, and then you have these pyramids throughout the world, and they're all in the same latitude and all this stuff. But then they say that's actually not true, and I thought this was cool because the pyramids are lined up in an exact line; they're linear,
Hmm.
but the belt of Orion is lined up with two stars, and then the third is slightly off kilter. It's not in a perfect line, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. I saw that as a kind of healthy skepticism in the book, and I guess I kind of appreciated that. But the problem is that I'll just say I have two problems with this and things like Ancient Aliens are funny to me because they always pose these questions. Could it be that? And the question
Is
could
it
it be that
possible? Yeah.
yeah, is it possible that the Pleiadians were trying to inhibit makeup wearing amongst and you're like, okay, I thought we were talking about the stones.
Yeah.
And also that actually Sam Hyde made a great point with the pyramids, which was that there's still this is soaked into the sort of zeitgeist thinking about Egypt and the pyramids so much that I think the average person assumes that the pyramids were a supra primordial construction where they are
Mhm.
so difficult to make. How did they get the stones? How did they laser cut them and all this stuff? And I was listening to Sam Hyde recently, and he was like, "No, well, they're not laser cut; they're rough cut." And also, the pyramid is the easiest thing to make. You mark off a square and then you just keep putting stones upwards,
Hmm.
right? So it's like building a sandcastle for a kid. So I think he has a point there. That we they're obviously, I mean, obviously the Great Pyramid of Giza is one of the, seven ancient wonders of the world. The Sphinx is insane. Um, the the statue of Ramses or Ozymandias was insane. I mean, these things are amazing, and they are huge. And the pyramids were the tallest man-made structures until like the Woolworth Building or something in the 20th century, which is crazy to think about that they're that old. But it's not necessarily that the Nephilim came and we're walking amongst humans as 80 feet tall and we're building pyramids,
Hmm.
and that therefore people came from stars and space. It's just that they had an advanced civilization, and of course, read Exodus, right? Um,
Hmm.
so,
So there's two schools of thought about this. In the beginning of the book, there is the ancient aliens theory, right?
mhm,
That people from Mars or somewhere else came down and they meddled with the people here. And that's where the pyramids came from. And then the other kind of tangent theory is that it was the Atlanteans who were already here, indigenous to Earth, a great technological civilization that fell, and then they had to kind of start over in Egypt, but then they lost things along the way, and that's why
mhm.
technology gets less and less impressive as the years go on. So these are the two kind of warring factions that they're talking about in the book. You've got the Von Däniken versus Hancock, the cherries of the gods versus the fingerprints of the gods,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they both agree about, the serious mystery. So that's a huge part of this story too, the serious mystery. And like we
Uh-huh.
said in the quiz part, Sirius is actually a trinary star, A, B, and C, and that they were all accounted for by the Dogon, who were the keepers of the legend of the Nomo, the amphibious
Mm-hmm.
from Sirius, who they say were behind the development of civilization. And you already said Congress just told us aliens live in the ocean,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yeah. Um, I'm looking at this. This is You're on 26 and 27 here in the book, and it's talking about Poe, and Sirius A, Sirius B, the Star of Women.
Hmm.
Von Daniken is the guy who I thought you were talking about in the quiz question.
Oh, got it.
That's the Austrian guy. Um, and on page 28, yeah, you're getting to this. Like at the top, it says here. In fact, the first Christian mission in Mali was not established by American Protestants until 1936, when the Sirius-based religion was already deeply embedded in Dogon culture.
Yep.
Okay. Um, The Dogon also believed that their ancestors were taught the arts of civilization by gods called the Nomo. That was your question. Or rather, demigods, because the Nomo believed to have been emissaries of one god, Amma, who descended on Earth in an ark in the remote past. The Nomo were described as water spirits. There you go.
Hmm.
Who inhabited all bodies of water from the seas to the smallest ponds. Dogon depictions of the Nomo show them to be fish like. Okay. It's funny. There's an episode of Family Guy for the folks out there at home out there where Lois meets a merman, but instead of having a mermaid tail and being a man, he's the bottom half is the man and the top is the fish.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh no, that's not what I wanted." um,
Remember that movie Shape of Water?
yes, hmm,
That was about sexy times with fish people.
yeah, that's Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're getting jiggy with the aliens, which me and Isaac was covering for the past couple
Hmm.
months. And this is all going to go back to Atlantis and Edgar Casey. And like you said, they question, is the Orion mystery credible? The theory that they're aligned to Orion. But what actually caught the attention of the experts, the government, these occult orders, CIA, was the the serious mystery. So MI5, CIA, Freemasons are all like geeking out over this serious mystery book. And that's
Mm-hmm.
when you get the tales of the Dogon and the Nomo and all of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me because with the with the intelligence agencies freaking out over this stuff. I mean, just on a practical level, you can see them freaking out about things that deal with, for instance, chemicals later on, or with like shamanistic traditions, because there's an element of mind control involved, and they're looking for a truth serum and MK Ultra. But as far as archaeological or even like pseudo archaeological things, it's kind of crazy that to see the long arc of what they how they have an interest in this stuff. But I guess, like you were saying, they make a point. The authors of this book make a point of explaining that if it if there's something that deals with anything with mind control or with some sort of narrative that's being pushed,
Mm-hmm.
then if anything, there's something to be learned from that with intelligence through data, just how people perceive truth as it's told to them, and how far they're willing to take it. It's like with the Pokemon revelations recently, which is not like a revelation, I think, to probably anybody that would be here. I mean, you create an app and you have people playing a game, and it seems like completely crazy, and it's sort of infantile, and I'm sure that's fun for people that play it, or whatever, but that there's a sort of a regression involved. But then, of course, it's just data mining. It's just trying to you know, uh, replicate patterns
Mm-hmm.
in people and how they make choices with
Mm-hmm.
things. And so I sort of see the point with that, but it is pretty far to go. Of course, I mean, you and Jay have both done a lot of talk about the ties with like archaeology. I mean, like Indiana Jones is the best known sort of cultural example of that. He's OSS, and you have people going to foreign countries and embedding themselves with natives and talking to people who are going to fund them. So it's natural that that would be something that intelligence could use. But it gets wild when it actually goes into the occult. And of course, through there's that Richard Spence book, Agent 666 with Crowley. I mean, that talks about that.
Mm-hmm.
With Crowley, the sort of omerta built into secret societies, mixed in with intelligence. The two sort of work hand in hand because that would be natural for that. But it's still sort of hard to comprehend, I think, with some of this.
And I'm glad you brought up Indiana Jones because, yeah, the government is totally interested in occult things and weird stuff. In Desert Storm, I believe they were looking for the Tomb of Gilgamesh and just all kinds of
Yeah,
things that you would think are wackadoodle action adventure movie stuff, but they
yeah,
are on it, right?
yeah. Did they get that? Is the best known example of that Himmler and the search for the Holy Grail and the Lance of Longinus in World War II,
Yeah,
and the
that's a good example.
yeah
Yeah.
expeditions to Tibet and all that.
So one of the characters in this book that you probably heard of is Edgar Casey. So he was
Hmm.
known as the Sleeping Prophet. Supposedly, he was an illiterate guy who would go into trances and tell the future and tell the past and all of these stuff. And they built this whole um, cult around him that is now in Virginia Beach. I've actually been there, and they
Yeah.
have like a labyrinth that you can walk outside that is two dolphins that you get in the middle. You're actually like on dolphins like that.
Mm. Is that well? Virginia Beach is the Neptunes, right? It's
Mhm.
Neptune
Mhm.
City.
Mhm.
So I suppose that's why it's the dolphins.
So Edgar
There's a
Cayce,
lot of. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, this is where we get a lot of our Atlantis lore, is from
Hmm.
Edgar Casey, and he's saying that he's on the team Atlantis settled Egypt, and then there is a missing artifact, which we'll talk about in a second. It's one of the questions that everybody is searching for.
Great. I love I love when people say as a and then fill in the blank. As a Virginian, I find it interesting, and it's not even ironic. It's just obvious, how so much of this stuff comes back to Virginia. Mount Weather. There's the Monroe Institute mentioned in this with Stubblebine, um, Langley, of course, Pentagon are both in Virginia, and uh, and Virginia Beach is the largest naval base in the world. The SEALs are based there.
Hmm.
So I just find it so interesting about. Do you remember when I know part of this is based on Jimmy Carter making that revelation about with Stargate project about using psychics to find the lost guy. But I was going to say, do you remember when that journalist inadvertently uncovered the secret White House in Virginia? It was like in the 80s.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he there was a guy who was staying at the Greenbrier. The Greenbrier is a famous hotel in the mountains in Virginia. It's where some people I know like go stay. They always holiday there. It's really just a really nice old hotel. And then the guy wrote an article, and then inadvertently he revealed that there were secret doors in the hotel, and then they had to shut the thing down because the Greenbrier. I've stayed at the Greenbrier. The Greenbrier has, like, if you go into where the ballroom would be, or where the ballroom is, you notice that there are like hinges, and they had to open the doors, and it was blast doors,
Hmm.
and you go in, and there's an entire secret. That's where the White House would be in case of a nuclear attack.
Oh,
There
okay.
are tunnels going into the Greenbrier, and it's all underground. And then they found that people were always wondering, like, why are these like weird smokestack looking things in the woods in the middle of nowhere? And it was like, well, that's the air ventilation system
Mm.
for the underground thing. I mean, it's huge. It fits like
Mhm.
40,000 people underground.
Whoa. So that's where the government will go so they can continue.
Yeah,
What's it called?
yeah,
Continuation of government or
yeah.
something.
Continuity of government. They
That's
have
it.
a
Yeah.
a White House press room. They've got a hospital. They've got barracks. They've got bunks and supplies, or they did,
Mhm.
for everyone in the government. They've got another Supreme Court there or whatever, and it's not far from DC. It's kind of like Camp David is to um, to DC. It's not far, but it's in the mountains and I guess protected against a nuclear radiation or a nuclear wind
Mhm.
because of the mountains and the way that the wind pattern works there. And it was underground, but they had to abandon. It's still all there, but they had to abandon it as a legitimate place where they would go.
Well, Virginia is, the home of Washington, D.C., and
Hmm.
this book talks about part of the Stargate conspiracy actually is Freemasonic Americanism.
Hmm.
So they are saying when they find this magic artifact that they've all been searching for this whole time, it says, with the changes that will be wrought, true Americanism, the universal thought that is expressed and manifested in the brotherhood of man, as in the Masonic order, will be the eventual rule in the settlement of affairs in the world. So, several places in this book, people are talking and they use the words New World Order or New Order
Hmm.
of the Ages,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, your favorite person just had that, right?
Oh, yeah. I
In this
love
tweet.
him. Hmm. Who else is included in this? Rosicrucians?
Hmm.
Uh, I said let's quote them on page 70.
Uh-huh.
Why did I want to do that? Oh, and this all goes back into The Secret Destiny of America. Okay, so The New Atlantis by Francis Bacon and The Invisible College, The Great White Brotherhood, The Manly Pea Hole, all of that stuff is wrapped up in this Freemasonic revival they talk about.
Hmm.
And they said the immigrants from Atlantis were people governed by the laws of cosmic masonry. And those who landed in Egypt built centers of Masonic initiation from which the country was administered. And the Rosicrucians actually trace their lore back to Akhenaten. I had this tiny little book once, and it was called Unto Thee I Grant, and I can't remember maybe it's written anonymously or by a couple initiates or something, but it's just this tiny little book telling you the beginning of Rosicrucian history starts with Akhenaten and Nefertiti.
Um, I was looking at, let's see, you were mentioning number nine and the nine principles. What do you call it? The Ennead, the
Yeah,
Aeneid.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Here's what I was mentioning earlier on page 48 with the diagram of the Great
Oh,
Pyramid,
mm-hmm.
right? And of the pyramids and the belt of Orion. You were just talking about, let's see, the constellation Draco, the dragon. Page page 59. Let's see, he also said that 1998 marks the beginning of the time of preparation for the coming of the master of the world.
Yep.
Aleister Crowley's coming in hot with his,
Yeah.
yeah. And the Brotherhood of Man, Masonic Order. Let's see. A lot of this deals with the rise of fascism.
Yes.
They continuously mention the Spanish Civil War, and of course the various groups in World War II and the rise of totalitarianism. You just mentioned the Association for Research for Enlightenment, Virginia Beach. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to catch up here a little bit. There was something else in here. Herodotus' Fall of the Hall of Records, A.C. Randall Stevens. Gosh, there's so much. The Cosmic Masonry. Oh yeah, they keep talking about the dawn of the new millennium and Jean-Michel Jarre playing his synth on Y2K, like laser lighting an Eye of Horus on the Great Pyramid.
Yeah.
Which they're like, I can't believe it.
Yeah. And so you've got all of these authors coming out about Egypt and Mars. You've got Sirius Mystery, Orion Mystery, Sign the Seal, Fingerprints of the Gods, Heaven Mirror, Keeper of Genesis, Mars Mystery, and this is all going to influence the New Age movement and the UN and everything that we're seeing right now. Me and Courtney have done 2 or 3 shows about the wacky goings on at the UN trying to channel this stuff. And so it's not about authors kind of anymore. And now it's about influencers. So they're not really focusing on people writing a lot of books. They're focusing on getting personalities on TikTok, on YouTube, on X to promulgate these ideas. Would you agree?
Yeah, because it's like that guy with like the gold. He's got a crown on and he's got like a pyramid on his forehead, and he's like, "Listen, if you have problems with your hips, just put this topaz right here, and and your binaural beats will allow you to ascend with Larry Hoagland. And when the face of Mars appears to you, that's when you know that you've transcended."
Yes, exactly.
And I'm like, okay, of course.
When you see the face on Mars in your dream,
Duh.
you'll know you're initiated.
Yes.
And,
The face on Mars stuff must have just like I imagine like these people writing this book or anybody in this community, right? Which sounds like a pretty fun like convention to go to, honestly.
yeah.
Because they have the remote viewing association or whatever, and I think like, man, I bet those meetings are really fun, right?
They're gooky for sure. And I've been to enough
Yeah.
conspiracy cons and alien cons and UFO cons. And they actually mention in this book all of these authors and influencers are set to task to make these conferences, to make these groups, to make these cults, to spread awareness of the Syrians and the aliens. And also we kind of have this they call it millennium fever in the book. Just that the waiting for the big Armageddon or the apocalypse or the World War III, Mayan calendar 2012, all of
Yeah.
that stuff comes out of these writings also.
Well, let me ask you a question. What did you do on Y2K? What did you do on New Year's Eve that night?
Nothing, because I was only like 18 or 19, and we weren't too worried about it. We filled up our bathtub with water. Oh, my parents actually were kind of preppers, so they got a whole garage full of like dry apples and oats and beans.
Yeah.
We were eating apple chips for like 10 years later, but
Well, my parents, we'd always been locked and loaded since I was a kid. We had gas masks in the basement. We had a bunker. We had all this stuff because of, Reagan era and stuff. And when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, bring it on. This is going to be sweet. I can be a post-apocalyptic dystopian warrior as a 6-year-old. But when Y2K happened, I thought it was, really, I'll say lame. That's the word I'll say here to be safe. Uh, but
Nothing
but
burger.
yeah. But then that like leading up to it that week, I started to really think like it would be ironic if something did happen if the numbers set back to zero and we went into a nuclear war because the Cold War was over. And so the day of not of I was going to say Big Nine, the day of Y2K, I started to get pretty concerned, and I went to church, thinking like, well, if it's going to happen, this is the best place to be, and then and then then I went to a party, and I went to like the craziest party I've ever been to, and then nothing happened, and then it was fine. That's the end of my story.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Well, they are positing in this book that there's going to be some kind of huge upheaval, and it wasn't Y2K and it wasn't 2012, but
Mm,
surely we have to have some bomb drop,
hmm.
info bomb.
Yeah.
And they're saying when all of these things are revealed, it's going to be a great unveiling.
Is that going to be the 2050 fake alien invasion?
Well, I have my own ideas about that. I think people are going to start identifying as aliens,
Uh huh.
and that's going to be part of the invasion.
Yeah. Well, they
Oh,
tried this with the face on Mars. That was certainly a big. I mean, they must have been freaking out about that because that seemed to, because Buzz Aldrin and stuff, and then the and then Buzz Aldrin punching the dude, and then when he went on Alex, and then talking about, when the little girl asked him the question, "What's Mars like?" and he was like, "I don't know. If I'd ever been there, it would have been crazy,
hmm.
but there's definitely pyramids." That stuff must have freaked him out. And then the movie even mentions how they made, that it kind of alludes to all the movies being made about this stuff, like Deep Impact.
Hmm.
It mentions Deep Impact on '83, but I don't think they mean it in terms of the film Deep Impact. But that came out, and that's one of the movies that predicted, sort of made the way for Obama as president, right? That was the Morgan Freeman as president
Hmm.
movie where they were using SETI to see the. It was actually Elijah Wood was in Richmond in the movie and sees the comet or whatever coming towards Earth, and it predicts that. And then there was they're all the disaster movies, right,
Hmm.
in the '90s that it sort of predicts that.
And these are the type of events that the aliens are supposed to be saving us from.
Uh-huh.
Right. They're going to come in, swoop in at the last minute. They said that a lot of the writings about the aliens have an increasingly messianic tone. And they talk about this thing called Project Equinox 2000.
Mm,
So, Project Equinox was based around a group of 12 authors who they refer to as Magic 12. The membership of this group was not fixed at the time of writing, but it originally included Graham Hancock, John Anthony West, Andrew Collins, Robert Temple, Colin Wilson, Michael Bazed, Christopher Knight, Robert Lomas. So all of these new authors
mm.
are key to understanding what they're talking about.
Well,
And oh yeah, and their principal objective is to perform a global ritual symbolizing the return of the magical Hermetic tradition of Egypt.
so a great working.
Yes.
They always do this. It's always that the secret chiefs come back to save us from ourselves because we can't take care of Mother Gaia or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was funny how. I'm sorry, gosh, I can't breathe. There's so much dust in here. I've had the windows open because it's been cold. I'm trying to, and then the dust flies in here. So anyway, the the I think it's funny how in the movie Stargate, the sort of opposite happens. It's not that the secret chiefs aren't trying to save us from ourselves. We find out in the movie Stargate that actually Ra, right, who seeded the planet, now wants to destroy it
Mm-hmm.
because he tries to send the Kurt Russell nuke back to Earth, right?
Yeah, yeah. I just put that on today when I was writing these out.
Yeah.
So there is
Yes.
a round based on Stargate the movie,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
but that doesn't come till later. So
Mhm.
let's do round two. based on
Okay.
chapter 2, High
Oh
Strangeness
man.
at Giza. Are
Okay.
you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Question 1, and this is for 5 chances at a spin on the board. Who is the controversial head of the Supreme Council of Antiquities in Egypt who claims to have uncovered the shaft of Osiris in 1987?
Is that Mohammed Fayed?
No.
Damn it.
Hmm?
Who is it?
Dahi Hawass.
Okay. Oh, that dude.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay. All right. I remember that guy because he sounds like Iwas.
that's
Right.
true.
Yeah.
Dahi Hawass.
The demon that Crowley meets.
Right. Okay,
All
second
right.
question.
I'm
You
not doing
ready?
too well, people. All right. Yeah.
Who was the fundamental Christian Zionist who led simultaneous psychic investigations for SRI at Giza and the Temple Mount?
Um. Damn. I don't know. Mark Lemur. I don't know. Who is it?
Dr. Dolphin.
Oh God. Damn it. There's 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 too much.
I know, there's a lot.
Yes. Yes. Dr. Dolphin, of course.
Okay, next question. What did Edgar Casey's father do for a living?
Oh my God. I don't know. Um. Hold on. Hold on. He sold insurance.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
good job.
Yes. Nice. Got one. All
He was
right.
insurance salesman to the Freemasons.
Hmm. Sweet. Okay. I'm
Okay.
still alive. Barely.
Um, Next question. What cosmic artifact is said to be still hidden in the Giza Plateau?
Um. Not the lion's paw. It's the staff of
No, that's India.
no. No, I don't know what is it.
The Hall of Records.
Oh, okay. All
Remember,
right.
that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah, that's
government's
on
looking for.
yeah, that's let's see. Just went through that. Who was it? Who's the guy who wrote The Pale Horse?
William Cooper.
Yeah. Is he the one that said that the pyramid, because most people think of the pyramid as being as holding the sarcophagus of of one of the pharaohs, but it's none of them have that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's a king's chamber, is he the one that said that the pyramid is a physical allegory for the process of initiation?
Yes,
Like
I
it
think so.
contains all the religious artifacts of, like, you go in, you spend the night, you receive the lion's paw handshake,
Yeah, the
you go
Egyptians
into the
love
underworld.
that you haven't won yet.
Oh, great. Okay.
You ready for the last question?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
there's another one. Okay.
I'm sorry they're so hard. I didn't think so.
Yeah, they're tough.
Where did Robert Bauval and Graham Hancock pinpoint as the location of one of the secret chambers?
Dude. Um, I don't know. I don't know where.
Sphinx's rump.
Okay. Listen, somebody who's gonna be watching this and they're gonna go, "Duh." How do you not know that? Exposed. Look, man.
Oh.
I'm just a simple guy. Okay, I've been eating crayons and toothpaste all day. I'm trying to learn how to read this book. I don't remember the Nefertiti's rump. Okay. Okay.
You ready for the spin?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Funny.
I'm gonna get a whammy bar again.
All right.
Okay.
Say big bucks, no whammies.
Big bucks, no whammy.
Oh, you got it.
Okay.
You did.
Hell yeah.
You
Okay.
are going to Giza to sleep in the Sphinx with no food or water or clothing, trapped in a sarcophagus for 3 days and nights.
So I'm Neo Napoleon.
Yes.
Yes.
You will be meeting with Osiris and all sorts of other ghoulies. Are you excited?
Mm. Yeah, I'm with the ghoulies.
Yeah.
There's gonna be ghoulies crawling out of Tutankhamun's toilet,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm very excited.
So
No, Napoleon did that. Remember when he got to Egypt, conquered Egypt, and
I remember
slept.
that.
Yeah, slept in the king's chamber. And then I read in one of the books about him that when he came out the next day, this is one of the things that made me angry about the movie. Is when he came out the next day, they said what happened, and he said, and I think he went like this. He
Mm.
was like, nothing happened. And he
Yeah.
wouldn't he wouldn't tell him what happened.
You'll be so refreshed when you come
Mm,
back. You'll be looking like that guy.
nice.
Doesn't he look good and hydrated?
Yeah, yeah. He's got that skincare
Relaxed.
routine.
Okay. I'm excited for you.
Hmm.
So, High Strangeness at Giza. This is chapter 2, Stargate Conspiracy.
Hmm.
The search for more stuff in and around the pyramids, chambers. They're looking in the rumps, they're looking in the paws, they're looking in the ground between the Sphinx and the Nile. Here we've got Dr. Dolphin doing experiments at the Temple Mount at the same time. So
Hmm.
you've got ARE, the Edgar Casey's school. You've got SRI, you've got the Shore Foundation, you've got Florida State University, you've got the Department of Defense, you've got NASA, all looking for this Hall of Records, the Akashic Records, or whatever you want to call them, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Supposedly buried there. Why are all of these serious government institutions looking for Egyptian artifacts?
Mm. Yes, and then we get to the search for the Stargate. Okay.
Yeah. So they're teaming up with universities. They've got Edgar Casey on board. They've got Graham Hancock telling Art Bell in 1996 that they found 9 chambers, but it's a secret. And a lot of these, like I was talking about, influencers. So Coast to Coast would be one of those who are supposed to
Hmm.
be disseminating all of this weird, kooky information,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the thing that they always do, their method, especially influencers of any kind, is we've got the information, and it'll be available January 9th. Right.
Right.
We've got the thing. We've blown the lid off of the sarcophagus of the Hall of Records. But if you just like and share and sub, even though we don't, even though they don't have a thing to subscribe to or whatever, or in the '90s it was like if you subscribe to our tapes,
Yeah.
um,
In my
then
newsletter.
yeah, in my newsletter.
So Art Bell and these influencers, but they're also having a lot of conflicting theories and infighting. There's some glaring contradictions. There's they call them elaborate games, and Zahi Hawass is part of this too. They even claim to found, the tomb of Osiris.
Yeah,
So let's see what
I think just in one thing that comes to mind with this every time with anything occult, whether it's mystery religions or the cults of Isis or the Greek gods or pantheon, any of those things, especially with this, is that number one, infighting is always promoted. I mean, it's kind of like a dictator having people infighting underneath him because it promotes competition to see who can work the hardest for the head of the top of the pyramid.
Mhm.
And the other is that this is so antithetical to Christianity because the very like JFK, the very nature of secrecy is anathema to Americans. He says like the Greek gods always come in costume and always lie about who they are and then reveal themselves later. Whereas the when an angel appears to someone, the person always like wants to worship the angel like the angel is going to be God,
Mhm.
and then the angel tells them, "I'm not. Like I'm the messenger or I'm the angel." And tells them the truth straight up. Everything is always truthful. It's always out in the open. The whole nature of Christianity is that you don't have to do you don't have to sacrifice a bull anymore. You don't have to do all this stuff. You don't have to lie or be secret. It's not to be secret. It's to be open. You're supposed to
Hmm.
be genuine and truthful. And you can see the sort of results of the two in terms of their nature. The one is about this stuff is always about who knows the most, kind of a Gnostic process, like who knows the most and can break on through to the other side. And now I'm going to fight with the other guy because they don't know as much as I do, but
Hmm.
I have the secrets. I have the talismans and I can do the ritual. And one day they're going to come for me on Hail Bob.
Yeah.
And Christianity is, look, everybody can do this. It's open for everybody. We want you to do this. Everybody, all you have to do is just do this. Faith and love, and that's, it in its nature. That's it.
Hmm.
You know. So I just think that's what's so difficult about all this stuff. But you see, with that, I mean, for one, why intelligence is so interested in it because of this secretive, the secretive sort of conduits through all of this stuff.
Hmm. And a lot of egos too.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to be the one who like discovered Osiris's shaft or
Mm-hmm.
whatever crazy thing.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody wants to be the ascended master in the Golden Dawn.
Hmm.
In this stuff.
So the interesting part about this chapter 2 is the apocalyptic output, like we were talking about. It says, for the
Mm-hmm.
first time in many thousands of years, the mass world population will start to receive an inside glimpse concerning something truly powerful, hidden from humankind regarding the Great Pyramid. Um, and so they're kind of mixing Christian fundamentalism with a passion for ancient Egypt.
At
And
the end of the chapter, it says, if Americans are involved with ancient Stargate technology, then it would be the most top secret project in history, and the number of people needing to know about it would be minimal. I mean, I kind of make a point, with the sort of cellular nature of this stuff. And then it goes on the next page to talk about Freemasons, CIA, MI5,
mhm,
the message at the end of the world, riding the comet and the asteroid. Um, I wrote psychic spies and Stranger Things on page 112
mhm,
with remote influencing. Because if you can have an out of body experience and read things and listen to people not in the location, then it makes sense that national security or whatever will like that. But it reminds me of these hearings right now. Did you see in the hearings, by the way, when not Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's the other one? Who's the little one that's in that group? The other congresswoman, Boebert. Did you see Boebert's
mhm.
response that day? Boebert. Boebert was listening to that guy, the guy who's at the head. He's like the main guy in all the hearings, and he's like, "I'm the one. I was the head of the group, and I'm the one who has all of the secret knowledge." He's got like lapel pins with keys.
Yeah.
Um, and then when he gives his title, by the way, his title, maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was another guy. One of the other guys was like, my title was chief fax machine operator at the institute, so I'm in the know about all of this information. The biologics are incredible. They kept saying the word biologics,
Mhm.
but when they got to Bobert, Bobert goes, so what you're telling me is a bunch of nonsense, because she said the world is flat, Karanka's fake. You need to
Uh-huh.
tell us about Big Nine, and that's all I have to say. And then walked away. I thought that
Oh.
was pretty. I thought it was pretty funny. The lady who's in charge of the hearings said she used the phrase "come at me, bro."
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, she did in the hearings. She said she was like, if you don't just provide the videotape, then there's nothing I can say about it. So come at me, bro. I've got the truth. Yeah,
That's
I watched it
awesome.
live. Yeah.
Well, it gets so confusing and there's so many disinfo agents, and a lot of this stuff comes from channeled
Hmm.
sources. So we'll get
Yeah.
there in a couple minutes when we talk about the nine. That all of this stuff going back to the beginning is from channeling ETs. But
Mm.
even Edgar Casey, he became known to high echelons and went to Washington to give information multiple times,
Mm.
right? The weird kooky guy who talks about Atlantis under trance, is being summoned to Washington, D.C. to advise. And his dad was, like we were talking about, a insurance salesman to the Freemasons. He was a Freemason himself. He actually traveled around setting up lodges. So Edgar Cayce and his father are very well versed in Freemasonic Americanism. And talking about a American Masonic golden age where the Atlantic Masonic ideals would become the governing principles of the future.
Mm-hmm. I thought that, I think they kind of already had that in terms of the founding.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
now they want to introduce the alien part because
right.
the Masons say that the Great Lodge is on Sirius. Right? That's that's why they're so into this stuff. SRI is looking for the
Of course.
Hall of Records, ARE, they're using remote viewing, Project Stargate.
That would be great. That would be great if that were in the televised hearing.
Yeah. We're gonna go to the Great White Lodge on Sirius B. And yeah, so you got Project Stargate, the remote viewing government
Yeah.
project that also incorporates a lot of other mystical occult influences. You've got MK Ultra, Project Monarch, Project Artichoke, all these other adjacent projects.
Grill Flame. Yeah.
What?
Grill Flame, Sunstreak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And many of the remote viewers reported encountering pyramids during their sessions, and they talk about remote influencing. So it's not just about being able to see what other people are doing, it's about being able to beam in your thoughts into other people's minds. Right?
I wonder if they encounter pyramids because the missing crystal capstone of the pyramid is what has been totally ingrained into the mind of the remote viewer to guide them to Sirius.
Yeah. Well, isn't it Stargate, the movie where the pyramid spaceship comes and sets on top of the Giza pyramid? So are they saying like that the aliens are the capstone?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because Ra is if the eye of Ra that he has on his medallion represents him as he has a talisman as the priest, what they think is he's the priest of Ra. And then Ra, when he appears, is he's an interdimensional being who has taken on a parasitical human host as a child. Right? Remember, he takes over the body of a child. So he's like the chosen one child who then reappears. So he goes through the rebirth cycle to them, but in the meantime, he is keeping a race of slaves on a planet X to mine his crystal or whatever it is, and that allows him regenerative eternal life. And he is reborn from death because he appears with the mask of a pharaoh, like it's a sarcophagus mask that he then changes into his face. Like the other guys have to put on like Anubis masks, right? They're wearing like helmets, but he has one like in his head, and then he has like the flashing eyes of a demonic, fallen angel. And he appropriates through destruction. So he wants to destroy his creation in order to usher in the new Aeon at the end of the film. But yeah, he's in he's in a flying pyramid.
Yeah, I think they're trying to say that what is that word? When the aliens are revealed. I think they're trying to say that, what is that word? Disclosure. When full disclosure happens, that is the end of the great work and the
Okay.
capping of the Great Pyramid um will come when disclosure happens. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
Are you ready for round three?
Yes, I'm ready. Is this beyond the Mars mission?
Yes, this is
Okay.
chapter three, round three.
Okay.
Who
Larry Hoagland.
who's the link between the Ennead and the Lesser Ennead?
Oh my God. Uh, um. Geez, Isaac didn't take this long with his
What
answers.
one of the
He,
one of the gods, one of the main ones, the hawk-headed one.
the who headed?
Hawk-headed.
The hawk headed is Horus.
Okay, you got a
Yeah.
spin.
Okay. Okay.
Next
All right. You
question.
gave me a hint. All right.
What Roman emperor is Captain James T. Kirk named for?
Tiberius.
There you go.
Yeah. The second emperor.
Who is the author of the Keys of Enoch, whose ideas became the linchpin of a new belief system?
Um. Let's see. God, there's so many names. It's not Brandenburg. It's not Jim Channon. It's not Is it Hoagland? It's not Larry
No,
Hoagland.
no.
Um. Uh. I don't know. Who is it? Who is it?
J.J. Hurtak.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
We're going to talk about Keys of Enoch in a second because that's whack. Okay, next question. What Star Trek influenced cult committed mass unaliving so that their souls could be beamed up to the Hale-Bopp spaceship?
That's Heaven's Gate.
Yes, Heaven's Gate.
There's another one that occurred in the 90s. That's the Solar Temple, which this book taught me that Princess Grace was a member of the
Yeah,
Supreme Solar Temple.
yes. Last question for round three. You ready?
Hmm.
What
Yeah, Marshall
2015
Applewhite.
What 2015 Ridley Scott movie features an astronaut surviving on Mars by mixing his own feces with Martian soil to grow potatoes?
That's The Martian, my favorite movie
Yes.
of all time. Yeah.
See, you did so good in round three.
Okay.
You
Well, that's
got
because
four
you give
spins.
me, yeah, you give me like movies or books, then I'm fine, or useless trivia. Um, but
That's not the book we've been reading, though, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly. The level 33 transcended master book that we're reading was this is pretty difficult. Oh, but speaking of books though, the great awakening, the great disclosure is interesting because I'm about to cover this book coming up. Shameless self promotion here. This book by J.G. Ballard called The Drowned World, and Ballard is one of the great dystopian science fiction writers. But he mentions in one of his interviews that he talks about Trekkies in an interview in the 70s, and he said, "I'm not welcome at these conventions because science fiction to them is outer space, but he writes about inner space,
Hmm.
and this book is about it predicts the water world like theme, which is that the ionosphere has melted because of magnetic storms on the sun, and so the polar ice caps melt and the world heats up, so people only survive in the like Arctic and Antarctic regions, and the world sort of overgrows back to a primordial primitive state, and the main characters start to have these weird dreams where they go into something called neuronics, which is like they don't their immediate decision making processes are kind of diluted, and they don't do things for their immediate safety because in terms of their long term safety, they're having dreams from encoded in their DNA from
Hmm.
from who people were in the beginning.
Mhm.
So they like start to try and go towards the equator, like an equatorial zone where everything is like overgrown in Triassic to form like they want to be the new atom, like a new they're like a new it's like a new Eden.
Mhm.
But the point is that in terms of the great disclosure, it's like he kind of makes sense the way that he writes because he posits that the the future will be boring and it won't be full of like the alien revelation, and everybody will be freaking out, and we've got technology, and it's that the more we have technology for our immediate needs, the more people start to get lazy, kind of like
Right.
Wall-E. Like people, we have all this stuff, everything's done for us, and so the process, the natural human inclination for imagination and discovery gets diluted, and so nobody wants to do anything anymore. So the big revelations will just be like, eh. And you kind of see that right now, like with the alien stuff, because it's so there's so much BS, and
Yeah.
I think aliens are the alien thing is, to me. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will agree, but the alien thing to me is advanced technology from humans, or if the aliens come, then they're demons, and it's the end of the world.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I
so
agree. And I think it's so interesting how nobody cares that they're talking about aliens in Congress and they're like, do I still have to go to work tomorrow? Yeah, okay, then I don't give a crap. And
right,
it's not gonna be until they see spaceships fighting over cities that people are gonna actually care.
yeah, because there's so much. I think that's it's partly because it's like a big, it's a big. There's a lot of it's just a big psyop, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
That's
like the
the
guy like
conspiracy
taking the
part.
video, yeah, the guy taking the video of like the blue orb at the Manchester airport,
Yeah.
and everything's grainy, and you don't know what to believe anyway, because we just went through this period where we were told all this stuff, and obviously we didn't believe it because it wasn't real. Um, and and now we have deep fakes, and you don't know what to believe on. People don't know what to believe online, and you live in a kind of metapod world, and there's so much that's alienating. Like we were alienated from ourselves. We just went through the war on the self with the Karanka, and so if you are the V word, then you're a carrier, and so you're alienated from yourself as a human. And then everybody had the mask, and so you have no more identity. So we get to this point now where like is this part of the game where all the stuff is sort of being pushed now, because it's like, well, how far can we push things before we can we totally destroy people's will with this? No, or are they just gonna be like, meh,
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah. This book does a really good job actually of kind of cutting through the BS
Mm-hmm.
and painting a picture that all of this stuff could be just a giant elaborate hoax, like an MK Ultra Puharic machination just for straight mind control, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
never gonna get over that zing you had. I got totally destroyed in this. It's just not the book we're reading. That
Oh.
was good.
You ready to do your
So,
spin?
fatality.
You got 4 this time.
Okay.
You got 4 spins. You ready?
Yeah.
And we
Sure.
are looking for where the green dot lands.
Okay.
Big bucks, no whammies.
This is a good arts and crafts.
Oh no, you got one.
Uh-oh. What am I on, the Tesla Roadster?
No, you.
Oh no, I'm in the whammy zone. Damn it.
Yeah. Next spin. 3 more. Green is pointing at. Oh.
Damn it.
Okay, 2 more.
Okay.
2 more. Where's the green gonna point? Big bucks, no whammy. Oh.
But I mean, there's a lot of whammy. All right. All right. Jamie. All right. Well, before you spin it, can I give you a pop quiz trivia question?
Okay.
All right. This is a pop culture trivia question. People in the chat,
Mhm.
when you watch this, let's see if you get this. What movie does a character say, it's even got a whammy bar?
Even got a whammy bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That vampire movie?
No, no, no. I'll give you a hint.
Ooh,
It's from the early '90s. It's an SNL type of movie. She it's a singer, and she sings Dreamweaver, and she says, "Sang."
who's in it?
You, Tia Carrera.
Wayne's World?
Yes. Yeah. There
Yay!
you go. It's
Okay.
even got a whammy bar. Okay. All right.
Oh, for the guitar.
Yes.
All right, one more spin. You did not get anything this round, but you're still
Okay.
going to Giza with the Egyptian spa package. So
Nice.
let's see. Green pointing where? It's pointing. Oh, what did you get? The Ark of the
Mm.
Covenant.
Nice. Nice.
That's
I
so
get
good in
it.
your house.
Sweet.
Yeah, very good. So,
Did you notice that in Stargate the movie that the seraphim with their wings are pointing towards Ra
hmm.
in the statue when he appears on the throne.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, they're standing there shielding him. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Hmm.
So
That's great.
this is chapter 3, Beyond the Mars mission. They are trying
Okay.
to link Egypt and Mars. They really want to really bad have like mirror pyramids on Mars and the face on Mars, which is the stupidest episode of the X-Files ever. Robert Bivall writes Mars Mystery. They're probing Mars, right? In the
Hmm.
news all the time in the 90s and the 2000s. The face on Mars was supposed to be Sphinx-like.
Hmm.
And this is the new hip new vacation spot for the ultra wealthy, right? Instead of Dubai, we are blasting off to Mars.
Yes, in Total Recall.
Which is to Mars,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 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 That's the movie Mission to Mars is about that, right? The face on Mars, where he. Do you remember that movie? It
Hmm.
came out around the same time as Red Planet is a superior movie because it's about got Val Kilmer in it.
Hmm.
But Mission to Mars, they are going towards the face on Mars. They've also been terraforming on that one in that movie. And then when the guy it's what's his face, the Tim Robbins, like sacrifices himself for the crew, which is needless in the movie. And then he ends up like going into the mouth of the face on Mars, and then he meets the Great White Brotherhood
Hmm.
and transcends.
That's so crazy. So Mars is becoming sort of a new religious icon. I mean, it already was in the shape of Horus and the Aeon of Horus, and Mars is the god of war and is associated with Horus. So it's no wonder why they're trying to get back there. And this is a kind of a short chapter, but it does kind of introduce what they are talking about, which is that aliens created humans, Martians specifically.
Hmm.
And then the involvement of SRI again is anything seems enough to ring alarm bells, at least among special scientists and the CIA, Department of Defense, remote viewing. Another recruit to this was Jim Channon of the First Earth Battalion.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. I like it when they talk about him. That's interesting to me. Um, and Task Force Delta.
Uh-huh. I like
Yeah.
that movie, Men Who Stare at Goats. I think that's a good movie.
Yeah, I like that one too. But I like the documentary better, where the guy, where he's like, this is a lethal instrument, right? And it's like a ruler slash bottle opener. And what's his face? What's the name of the journalist who with Alex at Bohemian Grove? He's the one who did the documentary that the movie's based on. The English guy, that little dweeb. Anyway, he's with him and he's like, I don't see how that could do anything. And the guy's like, puts it up to his nostril and like twists him back to the earth with this little instrument, he says. Because that's all they need. They don't need weapons,
Uh-huh.
right? For Task Force Delta. The psychic spies. I like also when they get into the trans time crop glyphs.
Uh-huh.
Um, on page 144, it says, the message of Cydonia. By linking the builders of Cydonia and this very visible yet enigmatic modern phenomenon, Hogan is effectively saying that the Martian builders are still around and are active on Earth now.
Yep.
He describes the fact that someone demonstrably not from Earth is now attempting to drive home the message of Cydonia as a message in the crops for our very eyes right here on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And they say, Hoagland says, for now, it is clear that if appropriately researched and then applied to many current global problems, the potential radical technologies might be developed from Message of Cydonia could significantly assist the world in a dramatic transition to a real new world order, if not a
Mm.
literal new world. So Mars has something to do with the new world order.
Um,
And then they get into other dimensions breakthrough.
the manipulation of mass psychology on page 151.
Mm-hmm.
We were mentioning this earlier. The proponents of these ideas want to use the mysterious, religious, quasi religious, or Masonic ideologies. They could even form an exercise in the manipulation of mass psychology, as suspected by Tom Rautenberg when he first heard of SRI's involvement with the Cydonia enigma,
Yep.
but on a much grander and more worrying scale.
Yeah. So the
Perhaps the idea behind mass psychology experiment is to gauge public reactions to some forthcoming genuine announcement about extraterrestrial influences on our past and even on our present and future.
Mhm.
Okay.
I like how they put some hypotheses in here. So they have like the one is that the Martian mysteries are basically false,
Hmm.
and it's just like mind control. And the second one is like it's somehow true, but we're not ready to hear it. Um, I mean, we have our own theories because of our worldview. Is just these are, you know, demonic entities from another dimension
Hmm.
trying
Yeah.
to deceive people into thinking they're the ones that created the world, right?
Yeah.
So
Um,
chapter 3, it wasn't very long,
yeah.
actually. It was just kind of just about Mars and that theory. But chapter 4 is where it really pops off with all the stuff that we talk about and contact, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because we go into Ingo Swann, Al Crowley, Blavatsky, Hal
Yeah.
Puthoff.
And the 9. Okay, so
Yeah.
Peter Levinda actually has a whole trilogy about the 9 and whoever's been contacting them throughout the years called Sinister Forces. So if you're interested in what we're talking about, there, have you read those books before?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah, so those are pretty authoritative on all of the people who were involved in this Roundtable Foundation channeling the 9. So let's get right into round 4 quiz questions
Okay.
for chapter 4. You ready? You did so good last time.
Okay. Thanks.
You ready?
All right. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. What is a Hawaiian shaman called?
Oh my gosh.
Kuhark was one of them. If you think about it, you'll get it.
Who was one of them? Who'd you say?
Kuhark,
A Hawaiian shaman.
yeah.
Um,
He's
a
the big,
Moana.
no, he's the
What?
big,
Kahuna.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, here's one.
Uh huh.
What is the name of the conscious computer slash spacecraft that the 9 live on?
Um.
Supposedly made a phone call to Uri Geller back in time because it's the computer.
Uh. Let's see. Is it? It's not. It's not Cydonia, is it?
No.
No. What is it?
Spectra?
Oh. Okay. Damn it. Damn it. Who got Spectra in my notes right? Yes. Ah.
You can take your time. It's okay.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Okay. I guess.
You'll like this one.
Terrible at this. Okay. Keep going.
What 1978 Brian De Palma movie features a former CIA agent who uses the tactics of young psychics to help retrieve his telekinetic son from a shadowy secret government agency?
A '78 Brian De Palma film. God, how do I not know this one? Mm, It's not super nature. It's I don't know. I don't know. What is
The
it?
Fury.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, okay. Well, it's like what we're talking about in this chapter.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
And we were talking about De Palma recently. When I think of De Palma, though, I think of like DID movies with the
Raising-
brave and stunning people, like Raising Cain, and the one with Martin Cain as the lady. Yeah, I didn't recall that one.
Okay, you've got two more questions in this round.
Okay.
You ready?
God, yes. Okay.
What popular TV series is about a small town plagued by a hostile alternate dimension after a nearby human experimentation facility opens a gateway between Earth and the other side?
I mean, Stranger Things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about that in this chapter too with the Geller kids, their space
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, last question in round 4. Who were the extraterrestrial race that the Nine claimed came to Earth 20,000 years ago to Israel, where they encountered Abraham?
Um.
It's silly.
Let's see. Uh. I don't know. Who is it?
The Hoover.
Oh my gosh, I had it right here in the book too. Look, it's right there.
You underlined it even. You said Hoover.
Yes, yes.
Don't give up so soon. You were looking
I
right
know.
at it.
Okay.
I've demoralized you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got 2 spins in this round. You've already got the Ark Covenant. You've got the Egyptian spa package. You're kind of crushing it, actually. So,
Okay.
2 spins. You ready?
All right, let's spin it.
Okay. Big bucks, no whammies. What are you looking? Oh, the crypto or the trip to Mars? Oh, whammy.
It's another whammy.
Bum, 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 bum. Okay, one more spin.
Press your luck. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. I got the
again.
Egyptian spa package again. I got 2 of them.
You're
Okay.
definitely going.
Nice.
So, chapter 4 is about contact.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Hoagland, J.J. Hurtak, who are the main advocates for the Mars Giza connection.
Mm-hmm.
And they are also part of a cult who are telepathically in connection with this group called the Nine.
Mm-hmm.
Had you heard of the Nine before this book?
They claim to be the Elohim.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are the Elohim. They're all the Gnostic doodads. They're everybody.
Well, you've talked about them before in other streams because you mentioned. I remember when you were talking about you were doing a breakdown of Stranger Things, and you talked about 11 and her occultic name because of the number 11, right, and the occult number 11, and then L as she's some sort of demigod. But then this also mentions they are part of the aeon of Gnosticism. Tell us more. Tell us more about the.
The Council of Nine, they say, we gradually uncovered evidence of the extraordinary hold that these alleged non-human intelligence have over the industrialists, cutting-edge scientists, popular entertainers, radical parapsychologists, and key figures in the military and intelligence circles, to find that the Nine's influence even extends to the threshold of the White House. And not just them, but this book called The Keys of Enoch by J.J. Hurtak, who he claims to have been in touch with these guys since 1973. So this Keys of Enoch embodies spiritual teachings he claims he was chosen to receive. And I used to have this book, and if you open it up and read it, it's just a bunch of gobbledygook. It's like zone theory. This is what it sounds like. The key to the end of our consciousness time zone is the violation of the spectra of color codes in the geometry of radiations, which will explode gel-forming capacities. For this reason, the host of the living light comes to deliver those who are living under and within the light of righteousness. Like, what? The ash that you knock it.
That sounds like a Crowleyan revelation about a plasma gun.
Well, what is gel forming capacities? Is that
Yeah.
like the seed of Atum Ra?
I don't know. Sounds like
Nickelodeon
a.
Jack? I don't know.
It sounds like what you become when you go through the Stargate,
Mm.
because he turns into plasma gel in
Hmm.
the film when he goes through the Stargate. He's walking through the mirror, right? The looking glass.
Oh,
So
good.
they always do that in the mate. I'm reading a Neuromancer right now, and it's the same sort of thing, jacking into the cyberspace, into the matrix, like it's like walking through the looking glass, silver mirror, plasma mirror,
Hmm.
and but also weapons are also involved in this. They're always involved, and there's like plasma guns and plasma weapons. So I don't know.
It's the Watergate, right?
Yeah,
What they
yeah.
talk about with the death of Whitney Houston and those things, like those rituals of, the water and like you said, when they fire up the Stargate, it becomes this gelatinous liquid interface that you
hmm
wormhole that you go through space in this jelly.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's contrasted with baptism.
Good point.
Instead of going through the Watergate and having your because you know that the body is 90% water, and nerds are always saying that. Instead of that, you are washed with the water of life. You don't need to turn your being into jelly to go into the alternate universe.
Right. So one of these characters of the book, Andre Proharik, he's gonna pop up for the rest of the time because he is involved in all of this and could be just facilitating this conspiracy of the Nine and the extraterrestrials and lying and doing all these channelings. Um, but he wrote a paper with Edgar Mitchell. You can find this on CIA.gov called Direct Brain Perception and Direct Brain Action Exist. So already we're starting to figure out that the remote viewing is part of mind control, right? Like directly beaming thoughts into people, and then the uh software side of it or the hardware side when you have like Neuralink or implants, stuff like that.
I've got a question for you. I got a trivia for you.
Okay, what?
Since you're the Magister adept level at this. All right, the Nine of Heliopolis.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. Can you name? Let's see. Let's say. Can you name four of the Nine of Heliopolis?
That's easy. Four. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Shu, Geb,
Yes.
Isis, Osiris,
Oh my God.
Nephet, Tefnut. Is that one of them?
Uh huh.
Shu, Geb, Tefnut. Uh, who's the arch lady?
You've already
Did I
got.
get eight? What did I get?
You got seven of them. I
Oh,
think.
what's the last one?
There's Atum
Uh-huh.
and then Nephthys.
Nephthys. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You got seven of the nine of the nine. All right. You got it. That's crazy. I did not. I didn't think you would get. I didn't think you would get Shu and Geb.
Yeah.
You know your stuff.
One is
Okay.
the um canopy of stars and the other is Earth. Is that Shu and Tefnut and Geb? They're all like pairs, you know what I mean? Like Isis, Osiris, Set, Nephthys,
Yeah.
Shu, Geb, Tefnut.
Shu and Tefnut, Geb and Nut and
Nut, that's
Nut.
it.
Yeah. Osiris and Isis, Set and Nephthys, and then
Uh-huh.
Atum.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
you want to go visit Lab 9?
No, I don't want to visit any of these places.
New York State commune run by Big Kahuna himself,
Yeah.
who was attracting the wealthy and noble and the Geller kids and space kids, they called them. So this is
Yeah.
men first class
Oh
territory,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And this all comes from what they call the Round Table Foundation
Mm-hmm.
sections. And the first of these took place in 1952. And they were talking about mass energy, speed of light, all kinds of sciencey stuff. What else? Oh, Yuri Geller was Israeli Mossad. So a
Mm,
lot of the stuff ties in with spying too, because the authors they said would go around to these like archaeological sites around the world under the guise of, just academia, but they're actually doing spy stuff too.
yeah. It seemed obvious that when you look at the like archival footage of Yuri Geller doing anything, it seems like you would. It seems obvious, but also, didn't they say Yuri Geller appeared like who did he appeared to someone in this book like with a hawk mask, like his
Oh
face
yeah.
turned into a hawk mask.
Yeah. They said that when they talk to the creatures on the other dimension, they have bird heads,
Uh,
right?
yeah.
And one of the famous names associated with the Lab 9 scene, so this was like a ranch out in the middle of nowhere where they have all these kids and they're doing these remote viewing MK Ultra um experiments, kind of like what was that one with Drew Barrymore? Oh, Firestarter,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm. Yeah.
They're looking for gifted kids with telekinesis abilities, carry
Yeah.
those types.
Yeah. Firestarter is the Stargate Monarch,
Yes,
pyrokinetic.
exactly. And one of the people who would visit this, they called it the turkey farm, was
Hmm.
Gene Roddenberry of Star
Hmm.
Trek. So much of the Star Trek canon and lore comes from the channeling of this nine.
Yeah. Stargate is mentioned in the book, in the Stephen King book.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I did a book analysis on it a while ago because I never read Stephen King when I was growing up, and I did a Stranger Things thing, and then it's clearly a lot of it has a provenance in Firestarter, and then when I read the book is incredibly explicit about MK Ultra. She's being programmed at an MK Ultra facility,
Hmm.
and it goes into the history of MK Ultra and like MK often. And then the remake of the movie with Zac Efron is even more explicit than the 1984 movie.
Oh, Harry?
Yeah, so yeah. There's a remake. If people don't know that, there's a remake of Firestarter.
Oh, Firestarter.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
with Zac Efron in it. It's not great, but it's more revelatory in terms of that.
Hmm. And he actually says MK Ultra in the book.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a big yeah. Um, I got it. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see if I can find it in here. Here's the book. Pages 64 and 65. Yeah, he talks about Lot 6 experiment, SRA, psionics, psi power. The assassin who's after her is called Rainbird. He's an MK Delta.
Hmm.
Sid Gottlieb, I wrote Stranger Things as a note here. And they're trying to make her into a Winter Soldier.
Hmm.
Winter is coming. They're trying to make her into an MK Delta Winter Soldier. Aleister Crowley is mentioned in here somewhere.
Oh, wow. I didn't know the book was so detailed like that.
Yeah, they start talking about Gladio. I mean, it's pretty detailed.
Show the cover of that. Let me see. Wow.
It's the paperback, yeah.
Yeah.
But there are huge sections of it.
And of course, that's Drew Barrymore's first or second movie.
Yeah, she'd made E.T. in like 1981, and then she made this. This was 1984 was the film.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it talks about the programming of how they make her essentially a Winter Soldier MK Delta, and she Trying to find the actual mention of MK Ultra because it's mentioned in here explicitly. But this character, Dr. Wanless, is a Sidney Gottlieb type, and he's a CIA black magician, black sorcerer.
Hmm.
They call her the Z factor. Basically, like Lot 6 was nothing but a synthetic copy of a pituitary extract. After all, an incredibly powerful painkiller hallucinogen that we did not understand then, that we don't understand now. We know, or at least we are 99% sure, that the natural counterpart of this substance is responsible in some way for the occasional flashes of psi ability that nearly all human beings demonstrate from time to time. A surprisingly wide range of phenomena: precognition, telekinesis, mental domination, bursts of superhuman strength, temporary control over the sympathetic nervous system. Did you know that the pituitary gland becomes suddenly overactive in nearly all biofeedback experiments? Start talking about REM,
Hmm.
which is REM is mixed in with the astral projection, and then it basically goes into Montauk Project and trauma based SRA. That's how they make her into a fire starter. They she is like captured as a baby,
Hmm.
and she's put through these horrid experiments, and because she's a child and she's has more psychic abilities to begin with, but then she dissociates, and then they harness that, and they harness the it's supposed to be alluding to the adreno aspects of it,
Hmm.
and then her alters are programmed, and they're psychokinetic, and they make her into a child winter soldier in the book. It's pretty crazy.
Wow, that's a lot
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
book.
yeah.
A lot of details. Uh, yeah, so he's got these kids at the Lab 9. And the nines, like you said, they say they're the Elohim, they say they're the aeons of Gnosticism, they say they come from Sirius. Again, so all of these things always go back to freaking Sirius. And some people who are channeling the nine are not happy because they give contradicting uh details. And even Yuri Geller, he said, when he arrived in the United States, the nine recommends their antics with more messages on instantly wiped tapes and teleportation. Significantly, Geller himself was not a convert to the nine, even at this stage. He found their pranks childish and unimpressive. He said, I think somebody's playing games with us. Perhaps they are a civilization of clowns. Well, they have this trickster element to them, and we just had
Yeah.
that show about are the Nephilim, are the clowns like portraying some kind of Nephilim? So it's interesting that he called them clowns and like tricksters.
Yeah, it reminds me of. I mean, It seems like all the pagan pantheons have a trickster element to it. I mean, of course, Satan is a form of trickster, but it's slightly different. It's to mimic creation and then laugh at your attempts to accomplish. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Shakespeare in King Lear's a pagan play, but in King Lear he says, "We are but playthings to the gods; they kill us for their sport."
Hmm.
And in a lot of the movies about Greek and Roman gods, you have these clay figurines. It's clay because it's human clay, dust to dust, and you have the gods on Olympus kind of squashing the people just for fun.
Hmm.
So it sort of makes sense, but it is also the thing we were talking about earlier, like creating an atmosphere of competition amongst your followers. Who's going to go the furthest and reveal the mask or break through the mask, break on through to the other side to find the truth behind the cosmic joke. It's also chaos. It's just chaotic.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, chapter 5 actually is entitled Behind the Mask.
Hmm.
And going further into, the cult of the nine, because so many devotees of this cult, including Gene Roddenberry, which Star Trek is all based on the nine also. You've got NASA, you've got CIA, you've got media professionals, um, all of these people who take this very seriously. So, are you ready
I'm
for
ready.
round 5?
I'm ready.
Ready?
Let's go. Yeah.
Okay. According to the Keys of Enoch, what is the only race that is
Oh my God.
indigenous to Earth?
The Altians,
No.
the Pleiadians.
No, the only race that is indigenous to Earth.
Oh, I don't know. The Atlanteans.
Black people.
Oh, oh, okay.
Everyone else is like space babies, except for
Oh,
black people are the only ones who like.
yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, hell yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Okay, next question.
All
What
right.
U.S. Navy investigation researching psychic abilities did Puharich claim to have been a part of in 1948? This is kind of obscure.
Um,
It's got a funny name though.
let's see. Navy. Philadelphia experiment was Navy. Uh, uh, I don't know. What is it?
Project Penguin.
Oh my gosh, it's right
Are you
here.
looking
It's right here.
at
Yes. Yes.
it? Okay, next question.
You guys, I was like, Jamie, don't be hard on me, okay? Don't give me four questions per chapter. And I was looking at things and I was like, oh, here's John Marks. She'll give me a question about John Marks. I can get that, right? No, instead it's Project Penguin.
Well, I thought that would stick out because it sounds so
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, it sticks out, except there's 4 billion terms in this book. There's so much in the book. Like, I mean, like Subproject 58. Okay, fine. I can get that.
Okay.
You know, Gordon Wasson, Jacques Vallée is mentioned in this chapter, but like Wallace was a follower of the mystic Nicholas Roerich. I Is that the next question? Please tell me that's the next one.
Next question. What famous MK Ultra scientist worked at the Army Chemical Center with Puharich?
Was it Gottlieb?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
You got one. All right. Next question. What Russian mystic convinced Vice President Henry Wallace to incorporate the Masonic Great Seal on the design of the dollar bill?
Was that Blavatsky?
No.
Who was it?
You just said it.
Nicholas Roerich?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Why did you?
'Cause when I hear Russian, when I hear Russian mystic, I always go to Blavatsky.
Okay, last question, round 5.
I sort of got that one. All right.
You totally got it.
All right.
What did the Esalen Institute, where did the Esalen Institute get its name?
Daniel Esselin. No,
No.
um, mm, I don't know where'd they get it.
The institute was founded in 1964 on land formerly inhabited by the Esalen Indian tribe.
Oh,
Okay, you got 2.
okay.
You ready?
I did always confuse though the
There's
author
way more
Daniel
games, Don't
Esselin.
even worry about it. What?
I always confused Daniel Esselin with Esselin Institute.
Oh, yeah.
A long time ago. Anyway.
Okay, 2 spins, big bucks, no whammy. What are you going for? Mars trip, furniture, roadster, whammy, big bucks, no whammy. Oh, you
Yeah, I got another
2
arc.
arcs.
Hell yeah. That's nice. I got 2 of them.
Okay, you can get
All
one
right.
for Christmas. You ready?
All right. Give me that $1 million and there you go.
It's 1
I
million.
want some daddy coin. All right, I got another trip to Mars. Hell yeah.
You're going to Mars. You'll be recycled into the great goo. All right, I'm excited. You've gone to Egypt for the spa package. You've got the trip to Mars. You've got 2 Ark of the Covenants.
Okay.
You're doing really good.
Okay.
So this is called Behind the Mask, Cult of
Yeah.
the Nine, page 189. Okay, so there talking about how their teachings, the nine, have helped shape our cultural concepts of space, science fictions, missions, space missions. The teachings of the nine emphasize there are many civilizations throughout the galaxy, of whom are banded together in a Star Trek-like federation. Right? And then Spectra was the conscious computer, which Uri Geller was in contact with. They called him on the phone from the future. Remember that story?
Yeah.
And so here's where it gets interesting. So the Keys of Enoch and Sirius Mystery are really big tomes in this subject. And they are talking about Huva, who, according to them, the Jewish race was created by Huva. That makes me think of Jay-Z and
Yeah, Hova.
Huva,
Yeah.
right? So that's the
Yeah.
aliens that created the Jews, or the Huva. And then the second coming, they say, will take place as part of the mass landing when Jesus will arrive as the Jewish Messiah. There are, it is claimed, secret records of Jesus hidden in Egypt and Israel. At the proper time, there will be a correlation of finding these records within 6 months of each other. And then mankind's genetic evolution has been interfered with by dark forces, so we need some kind of fixing upgrade. We need like a tech support for humanity here in chapter 5. What do you think about that?
I think that I remember on the next page they talked about, if I can find it, they talked about how they said it was the second coming, but then oh, here it is. On the next page they talked about the others, and it's also described as they're the followers of Satan, the beast.
Yeah.
So, by the way, the Keys of Enoch on the next one, it talks about the assumption that there are fallen. It's like Alex says, but the fallen ones,
Yeah.
who worship, who are followers of their master, Satan, who is very real, want to kill you in your face. He says, the assumption there are fallen ones with whom the righteous should not breed is insidious, and in such a seminal book, get it, seminal, panspermia, seems to be a little more disquieting. And then he talks about I don't want to say the term, let's say the big thing that happened in the 20th century with a group of people in the 40s was an act of, he says, it was a selfless act of sacrifice to make us all aware that evil people existed. And then Tom shares with many the misconception that the thing involved only that group of people. Of course, there were many others that were involved in that group of people. I wrote a note. Who is your audience here? And genetic programming. And he goes on to talk about the White Brotherhood and the Battle of Armageddon. But I just think it's funny because the book, there's so much to decipher in the book that it becomes less an act of analyzing what the various motives and origins of the stuff are, and then it starts to become like there's messaging about I don't know what I'm trying to say here, the skepticism of any spirituality in this, pointing towards biologics, as they're saying now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the messages in the book. It's like, oh, you should be skeptical of religion in general because it's a form of mind control, which is a even crazier thing to get out of the book than a lot of the input in the book.
Right.
Because whenever the authors talk about Christianity, and this is another problem I have with books like this, that when they talk about, especially when they mention Christianity, they always throw in these terms like the totalitarian aspect of, and the oppressive aspect of the religion, and one needs to be spiritually free, we're all one, if that makes any sense. But I think that built into a book like this and built into this sort of, if it's a system, like all the people that are involved, this big giant like Oort cloud of people and systems and
Word cloud.
beliefs and research and all of this stuff, there's this deniability built into it all, so that one of the problems, like with that the people at SRI, they continuously talk about like Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ, and what they mention is that like they're doing this research, they're funded by legitimate people, but no one will take them seriously, and they want to expose that, and they want to be taken seriously as psionic researchers.
Mhm.
But the problem is that built into that is a kind of craziness, because it's crazy stuff to be going into. But that
Mhm.
doesn't make the thing crazy. I mean, it is crazy, but that doesn't mean it's not real. Like, especially I mean, I think that astral projection and all this stuff, I think that they did that stuff. But it's demonic. When you're out of body, you are leaving room in your body for something else to inhabit it. I believe that.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that they never did this stuff. And of course, people are going to think they're crazy. But that's one of the things that intelligence does, is uses people that they can deny or throw away to have stability in the system. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, and well, keep in mind these are the people who were skeptical of the um the Da Vinci Code and stuff like that. So they
Mm-hmm.
are always trying to make things more mundane um
Mm-hmm.
and scientific. But yeah, they're well, not the authors, but the people they're talking about are incorporating Christianity into this new religion of the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like picking and choosing, and they're saying what we're talking about is the truth of all of the religions, which is aliens,
Uh-huh.
right? And the nine's basic message is like the reason they have to make contact is that something has gone wrong with our genetic programming, and they need to come back and like fix it with an upgrade or something like that.
Do you remember in Heretic? He kind of That's one of the points of that movie Heretic. He kind of mentions that, right?
Mhm.
He's making these faulty arguments about religion that she counters in the movie. I thought this was kind of refreshing in the movie. He's he makes that argument about how all religions have a messianic figure, and he talks about Horus and Osiris and how they preceded Christianity, and then she counter argues that, well, three of the four things you just mentioned were post Christ,
Hmm.
and and Horus didn't have this. He had two of the things, but then the third one he didn't have. So he goes to the death. He dies, but then he doesn't come back as Christ does. So you're conflating the arguments. But it's sort of the same thing that happens in a lot of these. That, like you were saying, that all of the it ends up being this sort of uh, scientismic, new age spiritual religion where we're all one in a great cosmic brotherhood, I guess.
And that's why Freemasonry is perfect for that,
Mm,
because it's incorporating all of the elements, even Kabbalah, even Mormonism, um, um, Judaism. They even say that the aliens come back for New Jerusalem with a USA capital in the middle of the word. So it's crazy. He said, Hertek, who wrote the Keys of Enoch, the space Jews, right,
mm-hmm.
said that there's going to be a future upheaval. There's going to be a galactic war and a house cleaning that is being completed throughout the universe, a war that will also be manifested on Earth with the coming apocalypse, followed by a golden age in which the new form of government will arise. The lesser brotherhoods of light, who work with the younger spiritual teachers of Earth, are now being forced out of their positions of power so that the greater forces of light will externalize on this plane. So whenever you talk about like cleansing, purifying, purging, those are kind of keywords to like tip you off that they are talking about like depopulation and mass
Mm-hmm.
die off, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And not only that, they are on this like the totalitarian side of things. You think
Hmm.
aliens would be pretty hippie, but they're not.
Right.
They are like total totalitarians. They are totally for like a government ruled by secret societies. Um, but the new age is a huge part of this, and everybody is going to have to be initiated or enveloped into these conglomeration of religion, right?
Yeah, we're really nice. We're gonna make drum circles full of Pleiadian dust. We're gonna kill everybody.
That's what I keep saying. You're going to Mars,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
way.
Hmm. Well, you notice also in a lot of space movies, just as an example, two things that space movies always do. They always are doing experiments in space, but they end up fixing a nuke satellite,
Uh-huh.
right? It's a weapon. And then the other thing is, they're in the sleep pods, and the sleep pods almost always get turned off,
Yeah,
right? So the people just fade away into the sleep pod.
good
Uh,
point.
I mean, that even starts with 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Wasn't that what the new Alien movie was about too?
Hmm. Is that Romulus? I haven't seen
Yeah,
Romulus.
Romulus.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Yeah,
that. I haven't seen that one because it looks too squanchy for me. There's too much squishing in that.
you're spot on about that.
Yeah.
Um, Here in chapter 5 it says, we know Puhark was working with the CIA on experiments with various techniques for inducing altered states of consciousness, which is another way of saying he worked on the potential of mind control. We also know, at least to a point, that Geller worked for them. They wanted to know how he could use his mind to influence inanimate objects and see distant locations. In other words, to test the remote influencing abilities. Were the nine somehow part of CIA mind control experiment?
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
This stuff is really interesting to me. This is what I really like about this book, because whenever they talk about, the Noetic Institute of Noetic Sciences in Palo Alto, and the remote viewing, astral projection, the Stargate, and that's really interesting to me because that's Montauk Project. That's like using people who, like the people that they get in SRI, like that guy Pat Price, right? That they get, who's just the most psychic man in the world, and is able to draw pictures of NSA facilities near Fort Meade, and unearths these places, and then can read, like, remember the thing, like the guy could read the file cabinet underground in the bunker, and he named the project with all of the pool related
mhm.
things. He said, like, there's like cue ball, there's four ball, there's nine ball, there's eight ball, and like that's the name of the project with the nuclear launch codes on it. That stuff is crazy. And of course, if you were running the program, you'd be like, we've got an obvious leak in here, something is wrong. Or
Yeah.
is this disinfo? Are these people Soviet agents? Is it what's happening? But of all things, like Stranger Things did a great example of showing that, because when they use 11, who is a Winter Soldier Montauk Project traumatized psychokinetic warrior or whatever. When she goes into, she's in the float tank, and they show her in the black goo, like in the nothing zone, and then she's tapping through radio waves to listen to people. Like that stuff is really, that's really interesting to me. And I wonder how far that has gone, or if it just melded into something like with Prism, and now they can use radio frequencies and Wi-Fi frequencies from your house to just map whatever it is anyway. How much of that is turned into psychotronics? But this stuff's really interesting.
Well, in addition to the search for these artifacts or whatever, I mean, the motivation behind that is the search to control human behavior.
Uh huh.
Right? That's the goal. Um, and doing that through the mind because they can't do it physically to everybody, but they can do it mentally, right?
Hmm.
And
You know
then,
when they you know when they talk about the keys of Enoch.
uh-huh.
I mean, how much does this tie in with? Because whenever I hear that, I think of John Dee and the Enochian language, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
scrying, and John Dee mixed with, as the agent for. I mean, it's a classic painting of John Dee drawing a magic circle in front of Queen Elizabeth, you know. And so did he and Edward Kelly, is that like a primitive, is that like a Renaissance version of a Stargate, you know, that there's an occult contact with a demonic entity through a obsidian mirror.
Hmm.
And is that what Aleister Crowley was doing in that Goetia? What was the ritual he did? The not the Babylon working, the one where he did it at.
Elemental?
Is that the one he did at his house in Scotland and he left in the middle of it and it was the.
Oh no. That was-
I think that was the Goetia. That was the John Dee
Mhm.
ritual, and what's written about it is that like it was that one working where you started in the middle and you cross the abyss, but he purposefully left in the middle of it to leave the gateway open.
Oh, uh-huh. Well,
Um,
think about this. When you draw the magic circle on the floor and the pentagram, that's what the opens the gate and it's got a star in it,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Stargate.
yeah. Oh.
And wormhole is the same thing as Stargate. And we did that whole show about parasites, how they are connected to demonic activity. So Stargate, wormhole, I don't know. Am I onto something?
Is that how they got the dune worms?
Yeah.
My Iraqis,
Spice.
my desert, my dune.
So the Roundtable uh, Foundation is also connected to the Army's psychological warfare program. You've
Mm-hmm.
got funding by Henry Wallace, who he's a character himself. He was the one who we were talking about. Nicholas Rohr convinced him to put the Great Seal on the dollar bill.
Mm-hmm.
But he believed that God had chosen America to be the leader of the world and that his own place in the scheme of things was hardly that of a humble foot soldier. He thought of himself as a messiah. He was also deeply interested in mysticism and a prominent Freemason. So he actually said, quote, "It will take a more definite recognition of the grand architect of the universe before the apex stone is finally fitted into the place and this nation in the full strength of its power is in position to assume leadership among the nations, inaugurating the new order of the ages." So again, we're telling people New World Order is connected to aliens, to Sirius, to the Great Seal, to mysticism. Uh, yeah.
It'll be a new world order, 1,000 points of light.
Yes.
Yeah.
Novus Ordo Seclorum. So then you've got Paharic working on the kids, the Stranger Things kids. I mean, this is the real story of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the real story of X-Men, First Class, and Stranger Things. And his name is Andrei Paharic. And he was also working on ways to make people hear voices in their heads. So this is another mystical experience that you could be having with aliens or you're channeling or whatever. It could just be beamed into your head through technology,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, it reminds me of that video. There's a video going around right now of Tesla with the first microphone, you know, picking up those what sounds like demonic voices, you know.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Um, yeah, I wonder though if it's that video is funny because I wonder if it's just he was in his apartment building and he's just picking up other people in the apartment talking, like in the apartment building,
Uh-huh.
arguing about I want some cigarettes on my steak sandwich, of course. But it does sound very strange.
Well, they're saying that maybe mystical encounters or like otherworldly creatures could be basically auditory hallucinations.
Well, I think like C.S. Lewis talks about this in Screw Tape Letters. I think there's something to be said for possession happening in auditory sensation. It's not when people talk about contacting demons or you know being possessed or they usually talk about it in a visual sense, what they
Mhm.
see.
Mhm.
But I think that it's probably there's something to be more truthful about hearing things. You know, I mean, certainly like schizophrenia and demonic contact has some sort of, there's some mixture of the two, like the two are one, you know.
Mhm, mhm,
And um, it makes sense that when you hear your own voice in your head and you're talking and you start to hear and you real if people realize there's something else talking to them. I mean, C.S. Lewis talks about in Screw Tape Letters that the demon, his job, remember in Screw Tape Letters, he's like your job at Wormwood is not to um, like move people away from prayer. You can't do that. You're not gonna physically move a person or appear to a person when they're praying. They seem to have like a halo around them that protects them. Instead, it's to introduce the thought into their head that what happened to their car keys. So the
mm,
minute that they think about their car keys, now their mind is away from prayer, and it's a subtle voice in your head that moves you away from something good, because evil isn't an active force. It's something that it's a lack of a positive force, or it's in a shade or a shadow, or
mhm.
it's something that distracts you from that. So it makes
That's a really
sense.
good point. I'm actually reading Screw Tape Letters right now for
Uh
Rockfin.
huh.
So
Yeah.
it's got some great insights into it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what we're talking about here is the demons talking to people because they get into the Order of the Solar Temple and their mass unalivings
Uh,
because their beliefs included the existence of ETs from Sirius,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Star Trek influenced Heaven's Gate. And then it gets really interesting. The contactees of the 40s were members of fascist groups.
Uh huh.
Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. He talks about especially the sin. Is that when he talks about synarchy, or is that later?
Oh yeah, that's later.
Yeah. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, Tool Society and Rudolph Hess, and I mean, again, that makes sense. You know, with the it's like in Dune. Remember in Dune 2 when they go to the Arrakis and like there's a black sun. Like it's like they look gray.
mhm,
Prom- Dune 2 and Prometheus and all these are in the same universe because the people, they're gray, like they look like gray aliens because they have like an anti-sun, like a black sun.
right.
And everything is in black and white shade, sort of a gnostic like shade.
Mhm.
Um yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry. I started thinking about Elvis fighting the little matador people in Dune 2.
Oh, he did really good in that, I thought.
He did. Listen up, chucklehead. They keep talking about this Muad'Dib.
He was really creepy. He did a good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the US government agencies are involved in these cult creation experiments.
Hmm.
And the cult called the Guardians had this house. It was like a cult of housewife mediums connected to Scientology.
Hmm.
So Scientology is in this. Um, back to the space kids for a second.
What's that other group? EST. Remember that?
Hmm.
Um, Earhart sensitivity training. The one that the celebrities were involved in. John Lennon and Yoko were involved in it. And Earhart was actually you wouldn't think he would be a fascist. He would be the other thing. Um, but he founded, did he found the Noetic Sciences at Palo Alto? But he was in, that's what you were talking about with the fascistic regime.
Hmm. Well, and that's what they're kind of hinting at too with the idea of root races
Hmm.
and every race has a extraterrestrial mix except for black people, so that's gonna get taken into weird places. Um,
Hmm.
I found them talking about the space kids. So it says, consider, for example, Puharich and Geller kids or space kids who he tested and trained during 1970s. They were 20 of them, the youngest 9 and the oldest in their late teens, called from 7 different countries and taken to what became jokingly known as Puharich's turkey farm at Ossining in order to develop their psychic potential. As we have seen, Puharich train them in remote viewing, but the target locations he set were significant. They were of military or intelligence interest and included the Pentagon, Kremlin, and even the White House. And he also experimented on the children in order to contact extraterrestrial intelligence.
When you, by the way, when you're mentioning the voices,
Mm-hmm.
one of the guys that's involved with the overseer of the program, like at SRI, was this guy, Kit Green, Dr. Green. And is he, so you remember the Kathy O'Brien tapes? Kathy O'Brien and the other lady who were they claimed to be child soldiers.
Arizona Wilder?
Is she the one with the glasses? She's like short black hair and glasses. There's two of them.
I don't know.
And they said they were part of the most dangerous game, like as part of their training. They had to do all this stuff, and they were hunted and all this. But she mentions Dr. Green. She says a man I knew as Dr. Green was her main programmer and did all the, he oversaw all the terrible things that made her into this. Is that the same Dr. Green in this? Kit Green? He's on page
Oh, I don't
240.
know.
I wonder if that's the same dude.
Maybe.
Because he was also the guy who later, when there was like a Hungarian. There was some Hungarian who died, who like had a heart attack in a public place, and they got his body to CIA, and they had him look at it, and he's the one who when it was declassified, said that they found a iridium pellet that had been shot into him, which was like one of the first instances of assassination with ricin,
Mm-hmm.
and that nobody would have suspected anything. The guy was already old. He had heart problems. He had a heart attack. And this is like post-church hearings, the heart attack gun. But when they realized that he was tied in with somebody in like Hungarian or Soviet intelligence and had leaked some secret, that he figured out that the guy had been assassinated. He found the pellet like behind his ear or something, and lodged in his brain. I wonder if that's the same guy.
Could be.
I don't know.
Because they are talking about this group called the Psychic Mafia.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy named Ira Einhorn, who they call the Unicorn.
Yeah.
And he was like Puharich's protege. And he was really popular. So in the 1970s, he had a worldwide network of scientists, industrialists, writers, philosophers, at the cutting edge of physics, parapsychology, psychology, and other fields. So he had 350 experts from 20 countries, with himself acting as what he called the planetary catalyst, circulating information to all members. The network was funded by Bell Telephone Company. Now, so he's got this crazy invisible college going, but his girlfriend goes missing.
Yeah. Is he okay? Is he the guy that started Earth Day?
I don't know.
Because
I didn't
the
say.
guy that started Earth Day, the same thing happened. Is that the same guy? Because the guy that started Earth Day is the guy who had the girlfriend who they found in the closet, and then he
That's
went.
him.
It's got to be him. Yeah.
It says 18 months later, after she went missing, after investigations by private detectives employed by her parents, the Philadelphia police searched Einhorn's apartment and found a very badly decomposed girlfriend in the trunk, locked in a cupboard in the back porch.
Yeah.
So this is the guy who's overseeing 350 worldwide planetary catalyst people,
Yeah.
is a murderer and keeping dead bodies in the cupboard in his porch. And Puharich's protege. And so when this case was being investigated, it says Puharich seemed to have been more concerned about recovering papers about the Geller kids' experiments he had let them shortly before she disappeared.
Okay. The guy that founded Earth Day was Gaylord Nelson.
Oh, okay.
But I think the same thing. I think that dude did the same thing. He did like the exact same thing.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
yeah, so you've got all of these new age gurus, these thought leaders, and they're connected to the highest tippy tops of echelons of power, White
Yeah.
House, funded by established corporations, Bell Telephone and other things that you would not think would be into like parasites, paranormal research. But even the books that come out like that people love and are touched by, like the Tao of Physics and these people are also involved with the nine.
Right. Yeah, the telephone company, ever since Snowden and Titan Point, and then remember that boomer a few years ago in Nashville,
Mhm,
the Christmas Day boomer
mhm, mhm.
event, wasn't that at the telephone company?
Yes, AT&T.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and guess who else pops up his little head? John C. Lilly
Mm.
worked at the Esalen Institute for
Right.
several years, as well as for the CIA. And I mean, the Esalen Institute, actually, they say that the nine work for them, and for many, many years, they were just focused on the channeling of the nine to all the
Right.
people that visited there. Let's see.
Okay, I got a trivia question for you.
Okay.
Shakespeare is quoted at the end of this chapter.
Okay.
What play is it?
I don't remember.
Oftentimes to win us to our harm, the instruments of darkness win us with honest trifles, only to betray us in deepest consequence.
I don't know.
It's an occultic play.
Is it The Tempest? Macbeth.
No, that's yes, Macbeth. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the Tempest has Prospero. Prospero is a kind of John Dee
Okay.
character. Prospero was played by Shakespeare. You know that himself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was supposed to. He played King Hamlet, and he played the character of Prospero when he was alive because he buries his book Full Fathom 5. So he's burying his book, so it's his last, supposed to be the end of his playwriting, but it's based on John Dee. But the quote at the end of this chapter is pretty cool because it's Macbeth, and it's Banquo giving Macbeth a warning, saying
Mhm.
like he's saying when you take these deals, when you listen to these entities, they give you things, they give you powers, they give you things, but they're just trifles, and when you need them the most, they'll betray you, and the consequence will be the worst,
Hmm.
which is pretty revelatory for much of the material in this book.
Yeah.
A lot of these people did not end up well, and of course are won over with contracts and the ability to travel or all the stuff that they win through the system that's funding them. That alone and end up as loose ends.
Hmm. They are trying to make Star Trek real.
Hmm.
And well, you kind of wonder why this show has such an influence on people.
Yeah,
Like, not every serial show has these dedicated fans, multi-generational,
yeah.
that are super into it. And it's probably because it's channeled by, extraterrestrial demons. And it has a bunch of stuff in there that hooks people. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it is strange. It's one of those shows that people tend to think was really big and popular. I'm not sure it was that popular. It didn't run for that long. The
Mhm.
original show didn't run for that long, and um, it's also one of these weird like lies that we're told about the past. I mean, my anecdotal info for this is like the stuff with the moon landing. That we're told that like every person in the world stopped what they were doing and they watched the moon landing
Mhm.
on television. It was watched by 40 billion people alive or whatever. And I remember my dad telling me one time, like, I didn't watch that.
Yeah.
Nobody I know watched that. We were out, at a restaurant or something. We were out having fun. Nobody cared about that. I'm sure people did watch it, but it's the same sort of thing I can see that because it's the same sort of thing you're told about like the Super Bowl. All these people watch the Super Bowl worldwide. Well, I lived abroad for 5 years, and I was there for 5 years. The Super Bowl was happening, and it's like no one's watching the American Super Bowl. First of all, it comes on at like 2 in the morning,
Hmm.
so no one cares. No one's watching that, and it's the same thing with Star Trek. You wonder why it's so popular, why it made its way, and I think because the people that it was popular with really saw something that they could, LARP. You could
Hmm.
live another life,
Hmm.
and the same way that outer space seems to be so popular with people. Of course. I mean, just look at now. It's like, the same people that don't believe in religion believe wholeheartedly in like the water molecule on Mars, and they really believe in aliens, and how could
Right.
we? I'm a scientist, of course I believe in the probability of people elsewhere, and it's like, yeah, but your whole thing is is physical data, and you don't have any.
Hmm.
So why would that be and of course, quantum and all the stuff with quantum and string theory like gets thrown into it. And of course, that provides more reason for people to believe, even though that's not in their paradigm to believe. It's
Hmm.
supposed to be data. So I guess that's why it's so popular. I don't know. I mean, I never really cared.
Do you
I thought it
think
was kind of funny. I mean,
it could have been an experiment in programming? I mean, programming people, because they talk about, higher intelligences as programmers, and they have a developed theory that human beings are really biocomputers. I mean, that's John C. Lilly, right? He says all human beings are program biocomputers.
yeah, I think it's this. It probably comes out of the same reason, the same sort of '60s boomer thing where conventional traditional religion is thrown out because of your parents' generation, and so LSD and acid and um, all that gets thrown into it. And of course, there are green-looking people, and we can star travel, and we're all star seeds,
Oh,
and every man and woman is a star.
and Captain Kirk is like a panspermia too, because he goes around sleeping with all the
He
aliens.
does.
He's like seeding the universe with more DNA.
Yeah, and it would be very popular. You would see how it would make its way all these years with Spock, because Spock is. I mean, I saw a new study the other day that said like the rates of let's say spectral behavior in children has gone from one in like 15,000 a few years. I don't know what the numbers are, but one in 15,000 like 20 years ago to now it's like one in five.
Hmm.
And that's Spock.
Hmm.
Spock is a I guess pretty sociopathic person who he is pure logic. He has no. It's all brain, no heart.
Right.
Um,
And he's only half Vulcan though, too.
right. Hmm.
So imagine going full Vulcan. That's like
Right.
no empathy whatsoever.
Yeah.
Everything is logic, everything is data. Uh, and that's even a character in the new Star
Mm.
Trek, right? Data.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the secret masters are chapter 6. Are you ready?
Okay. Oh
You
man.
don't like these?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I feel bad. I made them too hard.
All right. Let's go.
Okay, question. What is the 3-volume occult masterwork by Schwaller de Lubitz called?
Um. Um. The, the need the neater the let's see. Um. The nine principles.
No.
Damn it.
Yes,
The Temple of Man. Yes.
you got
Got
it.
it. Yes. Okay.
Good job.
All right.
Okay, next question. What is
All
the
right.
term for a government run by secret societies?
Uh, is that the synarchy?
Yes. Synarchy. We're going to talk about that. Next question. How many original Knights Templar were there?
Um,
Should be.
should be obvious.
Yeah.
I want to say 33.
No.
Nine.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Got 3 spins so far. Next question. What is the mysterious underground realm from which highly evolved adepts physically direct the development of the human race?
Um, I don't know. What is it? Tell me.
Agartha?
What is it? Siddhar? What is it?
Agartha?
Agartha. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, last question.
Okay.
Which legendary princess was also a member of the Sovereign Order of the Solar Temple?
Yeah. Princess Grace.
There you go. You got 4 out of 5 on chapter 6.
Nice. Nice.
You ready to spin for win?
Let's spin it.
Okay. You're already going to Egypt. You're going to Mars. You've got what? Ark of the Covenant. Are you going to get the car and the furniture?
I need some of those top G bucks. No whammy. Yeah, hell yeah, I got the Tesla Roadster.
Tesla Roadster.
Let's go, baby.
Brought it to space by Elon.
Let's go.
Okay. 3 more
Was
spins.
he playing on the radio in the Tesla Roadster, Grimes?
Sirius XM.
Nice. Okay.
Big bucks, no whammy. Oh,
All right. Oh, I got a
lost
whammy.
the Roadster.
Damn it.
Get back. You got 2 more.
All right.
Okay.
That's all right. I don't want to listen to Sirius. I'd rather listen to Grimes.
We appreciate power.
Got a whammy. That's a whammy.
Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Big bucks, no whammies. Let's get that Roadster. No whammy. Okay.
Damn. That sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, chapter 6, we're getting towards the end. This is like
Okay.
the meat of it. Don't you think this is like
Yeah.
where it all comes together? If you're still
Yes.
hanging out with us, it coalesces into ritual magic and everything that we know about and talk about. The usual suspects, it's the secret masters, it's L. Ron Hubbard, it's Aleister Crowley, it's the Egyptologist. You know, we just talked about respected scholar Swallow de Lubitz, who wrote The Temple of Man. He also wrote about the Nine in 1913 in a French theosophical journal. He was a major political influencer of the 20th century. He was a hermeticist, an alchemist, and a proto-fascist. So this is where you are getting lots of Tiny Mustache Man ideas, Hess, and those guys are interested in Swallow de Lubitz and his mystical ideas. He believed in the Brotherhood of Heliopolis. He wrote under the name Fulcanelli about the mystery of the cathedrals. And he was one of the first to talk about things being encoded into the architecture of Gothic cathedral.
Right.
Esoteric symbolism. So he thought that the spiritually elite should be allowed to govern, and that was the question that you got right about what was it called? Synergy? No.
Synarchy.
Synarchy.
The opposite. Yeah.
Opposite.
The opposite of anarchy. Yeah. Yeah. There's I read one time in I think it's in the Occult Roots of the SS, where in the Castle of Wavelsburg, right, which was the spiritual home of the SS, where they had their round table. There is a round table. There's an Arthurian round table on the wall at I think it's at Winchester Cathedral that Edward I found. But they had a round table that they looked for the Lance of Longinus. They were trying to find what the Holy Grail was in terms of their sun wheel brotherhood. They had the black sun on the floor at Wavelsburg. That's where Michael Aquino did the ceremony in full SS regalia. But that Himmler saw himself as the spiritual head of a new Teutonic Knight order and had a throne made of human bones and skulls on which he sat.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a sort of apotheosis of that group in this synarchic order.
What was that capsule called?
Wavelsburg, Wewelsburg.
That's so crazy. And So they're getting yeah, a lot of these ideas from Lubitz, and the Temple of Man is all about Luxor and Karnak
Hmm.
and all of these Egyptian places because he's saying that the temples are built on the proportions, like the golden proportions of a body, person's body.
Hmm. Mm.
So your body is a temple, and the temple is built on these golden ratios also. But he did influence the NAZI beliefs about racial superiority. Actually, the SS uniform was based on one Schwala de Lubis designed for his followers.
Mm.
That's so crazy.
The, was that the? I think he. Yeah, yeah, he designed it for the SA, and then it became the SS. I'm sure it inspired Hugo Boss to
Mhm.
design the one for the SS.
Yeah, so synarchy and um, government should have complete control, ruled by secret society. Their document mentions the creation of a federal European Union. So they are
Mm.
very much in favor of consolidation of powers and confederacies and United Nations. So this book was written in 1999. I don't even
Hmm.
think we had EU then.
No, we didn't. It was well, it was coming together, but it wasn't. I was in the UK when they adopted the currency and when they changed the borders. One of the ads that ran was it was controversial at the time. It was right after this was a speech by Hotler, say and they would run it with film in
Uh-huh.
color, saying this is what he wanted or whatever. We're not gonna. That's why Britain didn't end up adopting
Oh,
the euro and kept with the pound.
oh wow.
But I remember when the borders opened up because uh, when I let's see in 2000 and 2001 I think I was on a European interrail trip by myself, and I walked from Switzerland to Austria through Liechtenstein with no borders.
Oh, uh-huh.
It's the country's only 5 miles wide, so I walked
Uh-huh.
from border through three countries in a day, and there were no borders, and that was crazy because I'd been in Northern Ireland, and of course the border checks were had just shut down there, but for a different reason. Um, but that was cool. That was a big thing for me at the time because you could have an Interrail pass and you could just have euros. Actually, the first time I went, they didn't have the euro yet because I still had to get currency for every. I remember having a Danish kroner, and then when I went back, they had the euro. You could just spend money wherever in any country, and it was for there was convenience to it. It was pretty cool, but obviously that 20 something years on, has resulted in all of the absolute chaos that we see now.
Hmm. And it's crazy to think that this was all I mean, it didn't start in 1913, but the fomenting of all of these ideas about believing in Atlantis, Egypt. I mean, didn't crazy or Tiny Mustache Man believe in Atlantis and that?
I think so. I think there's a lot made of that, and certainly he was influenced by Tool Society, and there was an occult aspect of that. But I think that it was slightly different with him. I think he let Himmler run wild with this stuff because of what it engendered, and like you were mentioning earlier, this sort of weird spiritual ecumenism with all of the religions. That is sort of what that particular country adopted because they used the hierarchical um, system of the Catholic Church mixed in with the Jesuit. A Jesuit order obviously had influence on the SS, mixed in with the kind of weird Germanic fatherland worship. I mean, Hotler continuously made references to providence in his speeches. Right? He talked about how I'm married to Germany. Divine providence has led me to this place. War is the great crucible of human existence. He talks about I bend the masses to my will like women.
Hmm.
And it became what you were talking about with this root race thing. I mean, the ARYAN thing is mentioned in here a number of times.
Hmm.
So yeah, but I think that was mainly Himmler. I think his thing was a little more uh, pragmatic or something, and less spiritually wonky like Himmler was.
Hmm. Well, they were
But
definitely
whatever. Yeah.
um in touch with, the secret chiefs,
Hmm.
right? Which the Nine says that they are the secret chiefs. Iwas says that he's one of these secret chiefs, also from Sirius. The highest initiates of Crowley's Golden Dawn would go into either the OTO or the AA, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And the AA, if you guys don't know, it's the Argentium Astrum, the Order of the Silver Star, which is Sirius. And it is to be in direct contact with the secret chiefs. And then Crowley actually moved to California for a bit to set up all of these OTO lodges
Yeah.
and make this the main center of occult activity. And that works so well with Scientology and with just Hollywood in general, because that
Yeah.
is the cultural cornerstone
Yeah.
of pop culture, right?
He really was everywhere. I mean, L.A. He spent a considerable time in New York. Of course, he was in Berlin. The Beast. There's a book, The Beast in Berlin,
Mhm.
and a lot of the stuff that's denied about him being a spy, is some sort of triple agent. And of course Hess. I mean, I forgot to mention Hess. Hess co-wrote the Struggle book with Hotler and with this other guy that you're talking about,
Uh-huh.
and
The struggle
and
book.
yeah, and I think was it Dr. Richard Spence, the one who wrote the book, that said that Hess's secret flight to Scotland was headed towards that he was headed towards Loch Ness to meet with Crowley. He was the
Oh,
occultist.
right. I
So
yeah.
it's possible. Is it possible? Is it possible?
Is it I like when Dr. Phil tries to get to people to change their mind. He always starts with, "Is it possible?"
I like I like when he had the girl with Tourette's on there, the girl that goes, "You're bald, you're done," and he goes, "Listen." At the end of that show, he goes, "Listen, I've got a solution for you. I believe that you have what you say you have, but let me ask you a question. What if you didn't?
Yeah.
Thanks for the show." That's it.
He really said that?
Yes.
Is it possible you do not know?
I also think of that AI voice that you hear all the time, like on Instagram. And Rudolph Hess was a man who went in a plane flight and went off towards Scotland. The guy that does they use him for the home voices. There's a home somewhere in California. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes. And when he landed, he tried to parachute, right? And they caught him.
Yeah. Hmm.
One of the people that they brought in to interrogate him, I think, was who's the 007 guy?
Ian Fleming.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's true. That just came out of my
Yep.
head. Okay, back to Sirius. Okay, so guess who else is from Sirius?
Who?
IWAS.
Oh yeah, of course.
So it says IWAS is a type of extraterrestrial intelligence such as we may expect to come into consciousness. When the Aeon develops and elsewhere, Grant writes that, talking about Kenneth Grant, he talks about Tom and the Nine. IWAS is the link, the corridor through which the impulse was transmitted from the source of extraterrestrial consciousness. So IWAS is some kind of conduit between the Nine and the public through Aleister Crowley, because they
Yeah.
were not happy just channeling him through to certain people who would then go on to influence. They want direct communion, basically. And they talk about Whitley Strieber in the last part of this book, but like communion with the ETs.
Hmm. Yeah. This is the famous part where people will know this about Crowley going to Egypt with Rose,
Mhm.
and she was his medium and directing him towards the exhibit number 666 in the museum, and it was the statue of Horus. And then they leave out of the book, but after that is when he went into the desert with I think Mathers. I
Mhm.
think that's who it was. It was one of those guys that he used and drew the circle in the sand and fire and did the magic ritual working with me. He gave him like peyote and heroin or something, and then stepped out of the magic circle, like, or pushed him out or something.
Mhm.
He always did that. So, like, doing the working and then violating the working in the middle of it for
Uh-huh.
contact. But yeah, in the form of raw. That's what I thought you were going to question me on. Raw or queet. I thought if
I,
there's one question,
no,
it'll be
because
that.
I was like, that's too hard.
Yeah.
And that's the one little like obscure thing that you remember.
Yes.
Rahur
But
Parkrat and Rahur Queet are
mm,
two sides of the same god.
his daughter Lola Zaza.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh
There
yeah.
is something on page 269 here which I found pretty wild, which is the quasi-Wildian aphorism where he said, "Always tell the truth, but lead so improbable a life that no one will ever believe you." That's spycraft. That seems
Mhm.
to be intelligence right there.
Yeah, but I don't think he always told the truth either.
Yeah, yeah.
Just lie about telling the truth,
Hmm.
right? Jack Parsons thought that the flying saucers would convert the world to Crowley's magical religion.
Hmm.
So this
I mean,
working
maybe
out
he's
that way.
yeah, maybe he's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And Iwas is ET. I mean, he looks like he's everyone's favorite little butt baby. He looks like the gray, right? So gross.
Yeah, yeah. Lamb is the Pharaoh ET, and actually, Crowley's lamb drawing looks like a black Israelite drawing or something.
It does look like Yakub. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Iwas and Lam are kind of the same-ish.
Hmm.
Um, but they thought that uh Mars would be of extreme importance to the religion of the future. That's Crowley and
Hmm.
Parsons. In the AA, it says the influence of Aquarius is transmitted through Saturn. And then we have this character, Harry Smith. Have you heard of him before this book? I had not.
Yeah, I have, and only because I have a friend, an English actor friend named Harry Smith. But Harry
Oh.
Smith, and this was pretty wild because he's another one of these Crowley type characters
Mhm.
who is either the most psychic man in the world and a magician, or he's a total grifter. And there seems to be no middle ground between the two. But the guy was like involved in everything.
Yeah. He was a hero of the Beat Generation and the
Uh
hippie.
huh.
The OTO, he was a Theosophist, Freemason family. He was a Grammy winner for his influence on pop music. He was a somebody that Bob Dylan looked up to
Of
and
course.
based
Yeah.
his folklore on, funded by the Grateful Dead.
That's right. Yeah.
Um, he integrated Enochian magic of John Dee into the OTO, and he was also a tarot deck designer. So he's another one of these guys
Yeah.
behind, Wizards of Oz, let's call
Yeah.
them.
And then they did an OTO ritual at St. Mark's Church in St. Mark's Place in New York for his funeral.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it says the AA emphasized the importance of Sirius. The order was named after it and believed in non-human intelligence, which in post-war California came to be seen as extraterrestrials. These are the key themes of Robert Temple's Sirius mystery, um, who we now know came ultimately from a member of the 8A via someone who was involved with the Council of Nine. And here again, they're talking about the space gods, the Dogon, of Nomo, of Sirius.
Yeah.
And then Saturn was also of great importance to both Crowley and the Nine.
Yeah. Nomo is orbiting. You guys, did you know that Nomo is orbiting Saturn in a spaceship containing his sarcophagal pod?
I did know that.
Yeah.
They're waiting for us to find the Hall of Records, duh,
All right. Duh.
before they can come back.
Maybe that was the anomaly that was trailing Hale Bopp that led Marshall Applewhite to get Heaven's Gate.
Doesn't Arthur C. Clarke
To
talk
run.
about them orbiting Saturn.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know. So now we're getting to Alice Bailey. Yay,
Mm-hmm.
usual suspects. So the nine really loved Alice Bailey.
Yeah.
They regarded her very highly, recommended her books along with Madame Blavatsky. And these headmasters were from Tibet. They were the forerunners of the secret chiefs of the Golden Dawn. Project 2025. What is that? 281. Oh, check this out. Okay, so the Tibetan is who spoke through Alice Bailey. So this is one of the secret chiefs
Mm-hmm.
that they channeled, and they just call him the Tibetan. It says the Tibetan's teachings center on the coming new age, the age of Aquarius, for which the hierarchy are preparing humanity. This process will be, he says, in 3 phases. The first between 1875 and 1890, which was activated through Blavatsky. The second was 1919 to 1949. The third and final phase was to begin in 1975 and last until 2025.
Uh-oh. That's when the world teacher appears.
Yes, early in the 21st century, a great initiate, the world teacher, is to appear, resulting in the emergence of a new root race. This, of course, remarkably similar to the teachings of Edgar Cayce concerning the Hall of Records, which he claims would usher in the new age, the return of the great initiate, and the beginning of a new race. The words of the hierarchy after 1975 were to be transmitted to the world through the medium of radio. Serious.
Well, maybe that is that. Maybe in 2025, prediction, people. In 2025, we'll receive a strange radio signal emanating from Sirius
Mhm.
that will give us a new algorithmic AI code that they'll decipher with quantum physics and a quantum computer using the gateway process and didn't Microsoft do Stargate? There's somebody having a Stargate right now. There's a new thing they call Stargate.
Oh,
Is
really?
it Microsoft? Yeah, it's like a supercomputer
Hmm.
mixed in. Oh no, I think Stargate is the thing that Sam Altman wants to do, which is the nuclear facilities that will power the AI, the AI quantum supercomputer city that will allow them to look into deep space, and then that will give us a new code, and then through that we will get the world teacher, which will be a spiritual AI antichrist god.
Right, it will be AI.
Yeah.
Totally. Did you see that Puharik admitted the Round Table Foundation was inspired by the works of Alice Bailey?
Mm-hmm.
So there's the UN again. Let's see. Sirius is the equivalent of the human third eye in space.
Mm.
Although there are many such influences, it is Sirius by far the most powerful and important. In her book Initiation, Human and Solar, this is Alice Bailey, she describes a series of paths taken by initiates they develop spiritually. One of them is called the Path of Sirius. The Tibetan says that Sirius energy does not reach the Earth directly. It must be first beamed through Saturn. They also make another major connection with the secret teachings of Freemasonry. According to the Tibetan, Freemasonry is a terrestrial version of the initiatory school that exists on Sirius, and that the various hierarchical degrees of Freemasonry are parallels or analogs to the different levels of initiation that the adept must go through in order to enter the Great Lodge on Sirius.
Well, duh. I mean, of course I knew that.
Didn't you know that all of your politicians and elite go and do these rituals in dark rooms, and they worship Sirius, and they've
Mm-hmm.
seen the light, right?
Yeah.
They've been raised by the grip of the lion's paw.
Yeah.
And know the light.
They certainly go and sacrifice at the Black Cube, envisioning the ever swirling hellish hexagonal poles of Saturn.
Yes.
Hell world. I'm talking human animal chimeras, spider guts. Yes.
Who's that? Oh, the Hellraisers,
Mm-hmm.
Cenobites.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
They live on set.
mhm. They have such sights to show you.
Yes.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's the same with it's the same with Event Horizon, right? It's
Oh,
also a
that's
Stargate movie.
yeah.
Do you see?
Hmm.
Right. They have a magnetic seeing stone made of steel or whatever, and then they swirl it open, and guess what? Guess what? Spoiler alert: the other dimension, the wormhole, goes straight to hell.
Yes.
Right? Yes.
It's like that stripper pole that little Nas X goes down to grind
Yep.
on.
Straight down into hell, where he is the emperor worm riding Satan.
Yep.
Yeah,
Don't you want to
that's
be
it.
initiated in Giza at the Pyramidal Masonic Center?
I don't. And if I see Michael Aquino appear back on Earth in a Carl Schwab uniform, I'm going to give him one of these. Gah!
It says the immigrants from Atlantis were people governed by the laws of cosmic Freemasonry. And that's going to get interesting in a second. Um, and those who landed in Egypt built centers of Masonic initiation from which the country was administered. But
Mm-hmm.
these contactee philosophies often include beliefs in higher races and in totalitarian systems that would eliminate democracy. Now, that's
Mm-hmm.
what AI can also do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So, the new global religion, the best way of achieving that goal would be for some authoritative and charismatic leader could take control by explaining that God or the gods have, over the course of history, revealed certain truths to different people, which manifested as apparently different religions.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all the synarchist doctrines of Alice Bailey and the political esoteric milieu in France in the 1930s.
Mm-hmm. France has a history with these
Yes.
synarchist movements, the OAS,
Hmm.
trying to using the Foreign Legion to overthrow de Gaulle. Which, by the way, it turns out de Gaulle wasn't all bad. He was against the UN. That's one of the things that people apparently the globalists wanted to get him for. But France is rife with this sort of with these milices, with these the milieu of synarchic fascist movements. I think it's probably still the case. And for me, like this book, it's funny because the one thing that the that a lot of conspiracy texts get wrong, or that people get wrong in interpreting them, is the timeline.
Hmm.
That's kind of the Q boomer thing, is like, it's happening on this day, show me them tunnels, it's going to happen. And it's like,
Dr. Osiris.
yeah, show me them damn aliens. But the timeline is never what we think it's going to be, or it's some sort of alternate different timeline,
Hmm.
like with the Johns Hopkins paper 2025, and then it's 2020, or with whatever it happens to be. And the truth of all this is that there are clearly things working, but I see this through the paradigm of for instance, Revelation. That there will be an Antichrist. It'll be some sort of mimicry of. It has to. Doesn't it have to be an AI? It's the only thing that
It's the only thing that
it.
makes sense at this point.
Yeah, it would have to be, because it couldn't be because humans are created in the image of God, so it couldn't. And it and Satan can't create, so it would have to be some sort of mimicry. But the eye has not seen, the ear has not heard. We don't know the time or the place. I mean, I think that as far as like all of this is apocalyptic. All this is moving towards some sort of apocalypse. But the fact is that we don't know what the timeline of that is, and that I think that humans, like now, people are so seduced by we always have this like apocalyptic mindset,
Mhm.
that the end is coming soon because of how bad things can get. But the fact is that, as far as like, it's kind of like when people talk about overpopulation. It's like I can drive from here for 40 miles and I'll see 3 people.
Mhm.
But there's so much more to go. The average home has like one story. We're still in, we just don't, we're not that far. Or maybe we are. I mean, we don't know. But certainly the things in this have some truth in terms of how there's this like total conglomeration of globalism that's obviously happening in our time,
Mhm.
and that the United States is certainly, in a sense, a third Rome in a way. I mean, with Rome and then the British Empire inheriting them and all of their accoutrement, and then the United States inheriting that, and we seem to be at the start of a long arc towards uh, the decadence and depravity of the end of Rome, because it's an implosion from the inside. We have all of the hallmarks that that ancient Rome had with those. Not an exterior thing that's going to get rid of us, but something from the inside where people have lost their beliefs. They've lost any sense of decency. But who knows? We might have a long way to go. I don't know.
Well, just so many things are being pushed on social media,
Hmm.
and even EM said that the new gods would come out of Memphis, the new
Hmm.
AI gods. And he was even making the connection between, Egypt, Memphis, and Memphis, Tennessee.
Hmm.
So, and he's also been posting things about, we need to become like Rome.
Hmm.
I know you don't have that website. You don't really
Yeah,
go
I don't.
there, but
Yeah.
I try to send you like the more important things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's likened this new administration to Renaissance and revival of Rome, and also the future is going to see AI gods coming out of Memphis, Tennessee.
Right. I'm so glad I don't have it. um, I can't take it all, but I think that we were certainly, it's like if we think things are bad. I mean, think about during the French Revolution when somebody comes in and says, "Oh, guess what? It's Thermidor now, and everybody's got to go." I mean, things were bad. Things are bad throughout time, and um, but that also ties in with now we're now living just the next phase of what the French Revolution started, the Industrial Revolution started. We're going all the way towards now. That's a particular era that's different. Um, and that makes sense with these magicians talking about aeons, and even with Crowley and Yates and the Golden Dawn. I mean, Yates and Crowley had this magical battle everybody knows about, and look at Yates as one of his most famous poems, which is the Second Coming. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. The widening gyre is a different look at time. So instead of a linear time, we have sort of spinning top phases of time, like a tornado, you know, diminishing and then expanding again.
Mhm.
And what he's talking about that is certainly World War One, as the culmination of the Industrial Revolution, and we have total war, total mechanized warfare. But that just leads into a diminished period of kind of not much happening, and then we're back. And I think time, the way we live now, things get so condensed. So much happens in such a short period of time because of technology and information,
Mhm.
the information war, that we really have to be careful. So,
It's kind of like the birth pains, right? Those
hmm,
contractions get shorter and shorter before labor.
yeah,
And so the last chapter actually is called End Times, the
hmm,
warning.
yeah.
And so we have one more round of
All
questions.
right, let's go.
Um,
Let's do it.
and I don't know if you're gonna get the first one.
Oh no! Oh no! Let's uh let's immunize the eschaton. Let's bring on the world. Bring on the end times. Um,
Okay.
no, don't. But
What is the name of the 1973 U.S. government commissioned report from SRI International about maintaining control of populations through the patriarchal tradition of Freemasonry?
Hmm. Um. 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 I don't know. The only thing I learned from this chapter was the Raelians. I don't know.
Oh,
What is it?
changing images of man.
Oh, okay.
Remember that thing?
Yeah, yeah. That's yes. That's the book. Isn't
Yeah.
that the book? Isn't that the book that Jay covered? Yeah. Damn it. Okay.
Okay. Here's one. Who is Harry Potter's uncle? Hmm?
I don't know Harry Potter. Who's Harry? Who's Harry? You talking about that dude with the glasses? That pudgy man?
No.
Harry Potter's uncle?
Yeah.
The little pudgy man.
It's
I don't
Sirius.
know.
Sirius
Who is
Black.
he?
Sirius
Oh,
Black.
oh, come on. Okay.
Did you see the movie?
Harry, yeah,
Oh,
I mean, sort of. I've sort of seen him. I never. All I know is that Harry Potter is the story of the young Aleister Crowley.
okay.
Yeah.
But Sirius B, right?
Right, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's yeah, that's Hans Gruber from Die Hard. Yeah.
Yes.
Alan Rickman. Yes.
No, that's the teacher.
Oh, it's Gary Oldman.
Oldman, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
If I had said played by Gary Oldman, you got it?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Even though I thought it was Alan Rickman. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. All right.
What Amazonian hallucinogen do the authors posit could be the real Stargate?
Ayahuasca.
Yes, got it.
Yeah, they talk about DMT.
Yep. Okay, here's a movie question.
Okay.
In what movie does a light labeled Sirius 9 Canis Major fall from the sky in front of the protagonist?
Um. The Man Who Fell to Earth.
No.
Hold on. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
No.
Um. K-Pax with Kevin Spacey. I don't know what is it.
Truman Show.
Right. Okay.
Remember?
All right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I created you
Yes.
for a television show. Yeah.
Okay, last question, round 7. This is
Damn.
a humdinger. If you can hum it, you get 2 spins.
Okay.
You ready? What 1982 song by Alan Parsons Project is about the star Sirius?
No, I don't know. I don't know. What is it?
Eye in the Sky. Remember?
Hum it. How's it go?
Eye in the sky, looking at you. I can read your mind.
I thought you were going to say hum Close Encounters of the Third Kind because Jacques Vallée.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
you know that song, right?
No, I don't know Alan Parsons. I know Graham Parsons. He died in Joshua Tree.
Hey. You got
Okay, I didn't do too well in that. I didn't
one
do
spin
too well. Damn. All right. All right, let's go, baby.
Okay.
Snake eyes. Let's
Big
go.
bucks, no whammies.
All right.
4
Come on, give me something here.
whammy.
Yes, trip to Mars. That's trip to Mars. Look.
Is it?
Look. Yes. That's
Okay,
within
yeah.
the line.
It is.
Nice.
You're going to Mars twice.
Yes.
Yes.
Hell yeah. All right. I'm going up there with Matt Damon.
Legally, we can't call it Mars. Okay, we have to call it Mars. Okay.
Okay.
It's the Martian experience. Okay, we can't really say it's the trip to Mars.
You know, what do you think of that movie, The Martian?
I didn't see that one.
The Matt Damon, Ridley Scott?
Jay saw it and he said it was so stupid. I don't need to watch it.
I've seen it. Okay, here's my admission. I've seen that movie like 400 times.
So why?
Because first of all, during Corona, I didn't have any internet for a long time. And so I just had DVDs, and I got the DVD from the library, and it was like one of the only DVDs they had, and I would watch it over and over. And then it was on television again, and I saw it in the theater because it's Ridley Scott. But it's stupid. but it's like a comfort movie for me.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know why. Because like, okay, if they need a dude to go up and live like in a space pod like on Mars, and
Hmm.
I've got like if I've got like, he's streaming in the movie. If I've got like infinite streaming, infinite books, he's got no food, but he's got like Vicodin on like potato on like a little bread or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and he's got music. I'm like, I do fine. I'll twiddle little instruments or whatever. I'd be fine. I'd be all right. It would be fine. But the stupid thing about the movie is his he only has one like CD. He's got like a CD or something. And
Uh-huh.
it's the stupid girl brings up like ABBA and is only listening to like disco. And
Oh,
so that his only thing is that I don't understand that. If you're gonna bring music, why would you only have one like group on there? That doesn't make
right.
sense.
You need a
Yeah.
whole iPod if you're going to Mars,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I need
Need
I
a
need like
60 gig iPod.
yeah, I need Apple Music access from Mars, which I don't know why they couldn't give him.
Well,
Um
you can also go to Mars
yeah.
anytime. And the Stargate conspiracy, I guess, if we want to put it in a nutshell, is that they are fostering a belief that extraterrestrial gods created the human race and presided over its civilization, and that those gods are about to return,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So this is the foundation of the new religion, space brother cults, and even the Pope said that aliens are real and they are space brothers, and if he ever came in contact with them, he would baptize them.
Uh-huh.
Remember when he said that?
Yes. Yeah.
So here on,
Maybe that's what he thought Pachamama was. It was he could reanimate it.
he's an alien.
Yeah.
He's like the little Mac and me.
Great movie.
Page 308 says the entire picture seems to have been contrived according to a complex long-term plan. Um, so our hypothesis is that it's demonic,
Hmm.
not just government mind control, and it's not just contacting aliens, it's actually demonic. So, for example, Robert Temple's The Serious Mystery was inspired by Arthur Young, who was present at the initial contact with the Nine in 1953. Young's own inspiration came from Harry Smith, a high-ranking member of Aleister Crowley's magical order, in which extraterrestrial intelligences from Sirius, Mars, and ancient Egypt were the great pillars of their belief. The Nine communications, particularly in the initial stages, seem to continue those of Alice Bailey, of which J.J. Hurtak, The Keys of Enoch, is essentially an update. Hurtak has been the prime mover on the face of Mars debate, and the new Egyptology and the Keys of Enoch come from the Council of Nine. So there you have it, all wrapped up in a little bow, how all of these philosophies are connected. Also to theosophy, which we talk about all the time, which is not a retired belief. It is the religion of the United Nations, right?
Yes, and the thing I was mentioning earlier about Christianity, how they write about Christianity, is sort of solidified on page 331. This talks about they say control of the masses is ultimately what this is about. The image it promotes of mankind is essentially negative. It is basically the same message that Christianity made Christianity such a success as a state-sanctioned religion, taking away the autonomy of the individual and halting intellectual, scientific, and cultural progress for centuries. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I
The
know.
Christian message maintained that we are all born sinners and live only by God's grace. Well, we do, but it says our only hope is the promise of post-mortem bliss, provided that we surrender to the dictates of the priesthood. Well, Christ is the King of the universe, and will return with a flaming sword, and these demonic entities are nothing. And they, I think it's important to read books like this, and because they get on a lot of truth of the way sort of things are done, and especially the way things are promoted, and in terms of mind control. But alien beings and interdimensional alien beings, and being created in a simulation or all this stuff. I mean, that's promoted as a way to offset what the authors point to as what they, and people see this as Christianity as some sort of mind control device.
Mhm.
But the whole purpose is that you have free will to make decisions, because that's what justice and grace. Otherwise, there isn't any,
Mhm.
and we have the ability to choose. And most people choose. We all choose. People choose wrong all the time. Because we're flesh and blood, and it's a fallen world. But um, I just think that the end of the book says, what's the last bit? Perhaps there's no better time to realize that all men and women themselves are godlike heroes of almost unlimited potential.
Mhm.
And if there's any one overriding message for the millennium, it's that the time for mankind to come of age is long overdue.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a message.
And well, nowadays you would call that escaping the matrix. You
Mm,
you hear that from influencers a lot, right?
hmm.
This is a matrix. This is a simulation. I'm going to teach
Right.
you to escape the matrix. But this new age religion, um, based on the changing images of man, because they state that the best way to retain control of the masses is the Freemasonic patriarchy,
Yeah.
and the Bailey Hertech ideas, the Keys of Enoch, will become like a new Bible. Even looks like a Bible. I don't know if you've heard of that book. Have you ever heard or seen it, the Keys of Enoch? It's
Yeah,
bound
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Bible.
Hmm.
Got a menorah on the cover, like embossed in gold. And for them, they say for those not working with the light, it will be a time of great tribulation. Hertech's house cleaning,
Hmm.
and Ra talks about the harvesting of soul. Is not going to be a good time if you don't believe in
Right.
the nine, right?
The book is bound in leather made from human skin.
Yeah. Yeah, so her text system embraces all the major religions of the US, plus ascended masters, root races, Atlantis. It's got all of it. And
Mm,
the contactee philosophies, like we said before, um, would eliminate democracy. And both Crowley and Kenneth Grant make a connection between Sirius and Set that is not congruent with Egyptology. So here they are kind of going off on a little tangent saying Crowley um, has gone out on a limb putting Sirius and Set because Sirius was always known as Isis or Sothis, right? And then the epilogue, they talk about the end times machine. They talk about ayahuasca, DMT. So they're saying that this is the real Stargate, the uh,
mm,
psychedelic bros, DMT, Terrence McKenna, um, Joe Rogan. Shamanism is the new Stargate,
mm.
right?
Yeah.
Because how can primitive Amazonians know the correct like combination of two random plants to make you have a
Right.
ayahuasca trip, and then you talk to these giant snakes and they tell you that they are DNA,
Yeah.
right? Every time, oh, the
Yeah.
cosmic serpent. So that's one of the new.
Quetzalcoatl. Yeah.
Yes. So the cosmic serpent and the DNA. So they're saying that, well, they talk about this one psychonaut named Jeremy Narby. He encountered a pair of gigantic snakes that lectured him on his insignificance as a human being and the limits of his knowledge. So they're always dicks like that. Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The people you meet in the DMT world.
Yeah. I'm everything and you are nothing. We're the
Yeah.
caduceus. Yeah.
That sounds like something a demon would say.
Hmm.
But then they talk about, the prevalence of snakes in all of these different cultures as imparters of wisdom. And then Osiris' descent into the underworld. Many shamans report the same thing. So primitive shamanism is a lot like the Egyptian mysteries, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And he says something really interesting. The women can go to these realms without the drugs, and they actually help the men through these vision quests. So they can talk to the DNA directly. They call this remote viewing. So now we're going all the way back to the beginning. Remote viewers always say that they can see alien cities. They can see hyper sophisticated technology filled with pyramids, Babel towers, and minarets.
Hmm.
So it's like, the one world religion plus ET basically is the Stargate conspiracy.
It's also tech. It's
Yeah.
these extra dimensional cities always mimic the quantum microchip, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
The pathways for electrons, and like you said, that the end is to be. That's sort of the serpent. This is the Jim Morrison, ride the snake. He's 7 miles long. He holds the history
Yeah.
of the world on his scales. It's the serpent in the garden. It's
Yeah.
Ouroboros, Quetzalcoatl, the Caduceus. The those psychedelic bros also love talking about like the reptilian mind,
Hmm.
and the beginning is the end is the beginning, and it makes sense that early man, not primitive monkey man. That's not a. I don't believe in that. But early man after creation. I mean, yeah. You mentioned in the last stream tubal cain, and tubal cain and the way that human beings go astray so easily, into being psychedelic bros, shamanistic, worshiping nature, worshiping themselves, and wanting to become their own gods. Uh, always, God doesn't like that, and it seems natural that like we are headed towards a thing where, like you said, the Stargate is this shaman process of going back to the very things that we did before, that not we, but the people did before, and it seems so easy to make your way out of that, but humans in their pride just continue to make the same mistakes. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, are you ready for the lightning round?
yeah,
Based
let's go
on
lightning round. Let's do it.
based on the 1994 movie Stargate. Five
Yeah,
questions. Five
yeah, let's
spins,
go.
five questions. You ready?
Yeah, yes.
What does Dr. Jackson give to the leader of the alien workers to gain his trust and impress him?
uh does he give this his little medallion?
No, but he was wearing that.
Yeah, damn. What? Let me think. They call him Chicken Man.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I forget. What does he give to him?
Chocolate bar.
Oh, I like my favorite character in the whole movie is um the like the like Star Wars dog beast thing.
Oh,
The
that thing.
yeah, yeah, that rides off with him, and then pick the avatar thing that picks him. It's like licking his face. Okay, anyway,
Do you
sorry,
know
I
what
didn't
the
get the
best
joke.
thing about that movie was actually?
What?
The soundtrack.
Yeah,
The score was amazing. And they even used that theme for the TV show.
yeah.
Right.
It is good. I thought the best part about the movie was the fact that it didn't seem like a movie that Kurt Russell would be in, even though Kurt Russell is in a lot of sci-fi. He's in The Thing. He's in a lot of John Carpenter movies, and he was in um, was the boy with the computer shoes or whatever, the first Disney AI computer movie. But in this one, it didn't seem like he would be in that, and then he ends up as this like Chad soldier. But the great part about it was that they pick him because he's lost his son,
Hmm.
right? Well, they pick him and he's just lost his son. And then when he goes to the other planet and he seems like he's there to do the nuke thing,
Hmm.
but when he's introducing himself to the boy and to the children of the new dawn on the new planet, and they would reach for his weapons, he pushes them away and he doesn't offer an explanation.
Hmm.
But we know his story and the thing. We could see it in his eyes that he, still has love to give. I thought it was great. It was like a full-bodied character in a movie that
Hmm.
didn't seem like it would have that. Also, the the German guy that you were talking about, is it Earhart? No, it's not Earhart. It's the German scientist who introduced them all to all this stuff in one of the chapters. Is seems like it seems like the German character at the beginning of the movie is based on that guy, because the
Uh-huh.
woman who survives into adulthood and has the Eye of Ra medallion is German.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, all right, next question, lightning round.
Okay. How did Colonel O'Neill's son die?
Oh, yeah,
An accident. Yes.
yeah,
Hey, you got one.
yeah.
Okay. What constellation does Daniel see on a newspaper that gives him a clue about the Stargate symbol?
Um, um, it's not. Is it Orion?
Yes,
Yeah.
Orion. Got it. What is the name of the alien planet?
Planet X.
No.
They say Planet X in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, is it Nibiru?
No.
What is it?
Abydos,
Oh, okay.
like the Egyptian
Oh,
symbol.
like Abaddon. Okay. Damn.
Okay, last question. Which actor from the 2000 movie Gladiator also played Horus in 1994 Stargate?
Um, is it Jaimin Hunsu?
Yes. Three.
Yes, nice.
Got it. Okay, you've got
Nice.
3 spins. You could totally win the furniture. You could totally win the daddy coin or this roadster. You ready?
All right, ready. Let's go, baby. Come on, give me a roadster.
That's the whammy.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, I got my G-Box, right? Yes.
nice.
All
Okay.
right.
You'll have to slowly watch that go down to 0 because you're not allowed to convert it. You ready? 2 more.
Yeah. Oh, 2 more.
You get a
Okay.
whammy, you lose everything in this round.
Oh, damn. Please don't get a whammy.
Big bucks, no whammies.
Come on. Come on. Give me some big bucks. Come on. Where's that fall? I can't tell. Is it a whammy?
3 Ark of the Covenants for you.
Nice. Nice. Okay.
Can I get an Ark for Christmas?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. One more.
One more, last spin.
I'm really excited about this. Come on, baby. I got to win.
Big bucks, no
All
whammies.
right.
You
Come
like
on. Let it ride.
Um,
Oh, no.
so
No.
you ended up with 2 Egyptian spa packages, a trip to Mars, 2 Ark of the Covenants. You did not get a Tesla Roadster, and you did
Okay.
not get $1 million in daddy coin. But
All right.
I think that's pretty good
Yeah.
for one evening of
That's pretty
extra
good.
luck switching.
I challenge the next contestant to do better than that.
Yes,
Yes.
I don't think anyone else is going to want to play that.
Okay. I think I did pretty well on the questions, all things being considered. Okay.
Well, I made them difficult and things that I wanted to like talk about,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like points.
Yeah.
But I love the show. It was really fun. The book was great. It has so much stuff in it. I hope you guys stick around for all 3.5 hours of Stargate Conspiracy.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what should we do next?
I think next we should do. I think we should do Al Crowley. We got to do something about Al Crowley.
Okay.
There's this Gary Lockman book that I've got on Aleister Crowley and rock and roll, and that's always a crowd favorite, I think, with people who are interested in that. So, and I'm really interested in it. So
that one.
yeah,
What's it called?
it's called. Hold on, I got it. I got it up here. Hold on.
Is it red?
It's Magic, Rock and Roll, and the Wickedest Man in the World.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's it talks about it from like a sort of a rock and roll perspective. Gary Lockman was a musician, so it's got a lot of stuff about David Bowie, and the Beatles and the Stones and all that stuff in it.
Okay, that sounds perfect for us. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time with Aleister Crowley. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Yes, I will be coming up. Please go to my channel at Bazed Analyzer, you guys. Please give me a subscription. Help me get to 4,000 subs. And also, you were mentioning the Matrix. This is one of the next things I'm covering. I'm covering inner space and outer space. And I'm covering J.G. Ballard's The Drowned World. And this book by William Gibson, Neuromancer. And Neuromancer is where you get the term The Matrix.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's a clearly an inspiration on the movie The Matrix. So that's what I'll be covering next. A pure literary stream.
Okay, very good. And maybe you can give me some quiz questions next time.
That's right. That's
Really
for
hard ones to get me back.
sure. Okay. Okay.
All right. Everybody have a good night.
Peace. Peace.